Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wargaming.net League North America. I am James Rockstar Grieve, joined alongside by Randall Rootkill Holcomb.
Hey.
Today is match day 7, the last day of the first round robin.
Yep, and this will be the last day for some teams to solidify their standings for this first round robin and set themselves up for success in round robin number 2.
Well, before we talk about the rest of the round robin 2 and all the matches we have today, let's take a look at some replays from last week.
And here's a look at your standings for today. Before we start our matches, Apex leads with 18 points. Behind them is Dare Rising, 07, and Eclipse for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Top tier Aquatic and Valence with 7, 7, and 5.
Rival coming in here in last place, 0 points. Can they get a win today to get their first win on the season?
We'll have to see. This is huge for some of those bottom teams. We'll be seeing between Aquatic and Valence, whether Aquatic can put themselves up a few points or Valence can get themselves back in the fight. Rival and top tier, 2 teams that have been struggling this season, newer, and an older veteran team facing off at 6:45.
And then our off-broadcast match, we have 07 versus Eclipse and Apex versus Dare Rising. We'll bring you guys updates from those matches as we can through the night and hopefully some highlights to go along with it.
Yes, and of course, don't forget about your fantasy picks.
Yep, go over to wgl.gg/fantasy WGLNA. Pick your lineup, compete, me, Randall, the whole ESL staff here,
Yep.
A bunch of the Wargaming staff, and a bunch of the Gold League players. So get in there, set your lineup. Prizes are both for the week and for the season, including a Type 59. So get in there, pick your best starting 7, and see what you can do.
And of course, don't forget on social media, at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA, and of course on Facebook /WGLNA, where we do our Facebook Live show, where we go over the details and the more in-depth fantasy checkups. And also, of course, we went over a little earlier, you might have seen the question of the day, which today is, what is your most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks? Now, of course, we selected this question, so I have to answer it, so will Rox in just a moment. Mine, well, it was on Mines, and I decided after recently getting back into Clan Wars that I could make the jump on the 0 line in a bat chat. I told my team, I can do it, guys, depend on me, pick me for that role. And of course, the first run, the second run, did not go so hot. And after about the 6th run and 5 minutes into the battle, where the entire team was focusing on trying to help me figure out how to make the jump, we lost. Commander lost control, everything just went all to pieces. It was horrible. That was my most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks because I said I could do it, and I failed so miserably that we lost the entire battle. Rockstar, what was yours?
Mine comes from a long time ago when I was first starting to play the game. Pro River, a lot of you remember that. The old version of it, not the redone one that was a little bit more friendly, the old version.
Yeah.
If you remember, there was a cliff straight out of base in the south spawn. I triple tap R during the 30-second countdown, look down at my phone to answer a text message, and I look up from my phone just in time to see my tank just straight off the cliff, nose diving into the ground. The worst part is I live with 10 HP, and someone from, I won't say which one, but from a notable clan turns and TKs me and says, "You didn't deserve to play this game anyways." And that was a pretty soul-crushing moment for someone just starting to play the game.
Oh, but it also could have just been a mercy kill because, I mean, after a drive like that, buddy, I don't know.
On that point, though, if you have no HP early in the game, typically you tend to play really well because you're sitting back, you're worried about it. You play better. Some people know what that's
Let's
like.
go on to the rosters, Rox. Let's talk about the rosters of these teams. Aquatic versus Valence. We're going to start with Aquatic. Let's look at Mr. Man today. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, right now he has the highest average damage per match right now, 2178. 21 2,178. There we go. Got it out. That's insane. That is a lot of damage per game. Now, he's only down to around, let's see here, 12th overall on total fantasy points, but he pumps out a lot of damage consistently.
All right, well, moving on to Valence, we're going to be looking at a few of their players across the board, Spooky being probably one of the top performers, but who else on the team? Viral has been having some trouble, and Fulcrus is an addition to the team that I think is supposed to be helping out quite a bit.
Well, Viral is one of those players where his own team even says he has a tendency to YOLO, and that can do two things. That can, one, put him in a great position, a position where he shouldn't live, and he manages to do a ton of damage, which happens occasionally. He's their second best fantasy player.
But sometimes it backfires.
And backfires, like what we saw on Thursday, a couple positions where I don't know what he was thinking, really.
Yeah, well, now let's look into something which is going to be crucial. This match in particular, we already know the map choices. And Mines, Cliff, Himmelsdorf, Proc, and Himmelsdorf is our tiebreaker today. How's this play out?
For those that know M60s, especially that watched last season, seeing this first pick of Mines, and then watching Thursday's match that Valence played in, where they were not so spectacular on Mines, that should raise red flags to everyone right there.
So it's going to be a rough battle for both teams.
That, I think, will determine things. If that starts off as a 2-0 for M60s, I don't see Valence getting into that match at all.
Yeah, they maybe get a battle here or there, but ultimately, after losing
they
two
can't
in the
get momentum. If they go 1-1, or even they manage to win 2, then I think we'll have a much closer series. But if M60s start off hot, Valence is going to struggle.
We'll see. We do have the captains, or rather representatives from either team, on the line for our face-off. They're going to tell us how this is going to go down. Gentlemen, Mr. Man, Lost, welcome to the face-off. And to start this one off, we have a fun question of the day for you. Lost, I hit you up with this earlier. What is your most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks?
Anytime you're carrying a game and then you get one shot by Artie.
That's your most embarrassing? Like you have a single instance?
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, I think when I don't remember the map, but it's a winter map, and there used to be a hill on top of it, but they removed it and made like 2 lanes. I can't remember the winter map. There's a ditch through the middle. Thank you. There used to be a bush that you would drive through, but after that bush, there'd be a 45-foot drop, and I think I drove through that bush maybe 4 or 5 times and never learned my lesson.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, Lost. That's pretty good. We'll have to see. Mr. Man, do you have a story that competes with that? Your most embarrassing? It's sharing time.
Yeah, when I first started playing the game, I thought you had to compensate for where their shells went in dispersion. So if you fired and then your shot went high, I used to aim lower because I thought the shells would had more chance of going in that direction. So I used to try to compensate for where the shells are going instead of just aiming directly at the target.
So you had shells going all over the place?
Yeah.
Dude,
it was pretty bad.
That's a pretty good one. That one's a pretty funny one. All right, that's your embarrassing stories out of the way. Rox, let's start your question, sir.
So you guys had a pretty interesting match, I guess you could say, against Dare Rising on Thursday. Do you think that momentum's going to carry over today's match versus Valence?
Yeah, I definitely think it will. I think we're all feeling good after finally getting a win after a couple losses and also some annoyance with the Eclipse game with the disconnect and stuff that definitely got to us a little bit. So,
all right, so
I think we definitely have the momentum back in our favor.
Screwing your heads back on tight, getting yourselves back in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Lost, moving over to you. You guys have had an interesting first season, and I'm stealing your word, Rox, interesting first season of Tanks. It hasn't been super successful, but I know you guys are building for something, just trying to hold on. At this point, this is the last day in Round Robin 1. What are you looking to accomplish?
Basically, stay in the hunt. If we beat them, I think we're 3-4, or 2-4-1, whatever it is, and then gives us better footing to actually hopefully build on to what we're trying to do. Like I said, it's progress.
Well, thank you guys.
Sorry.
No, it's good. There's not much more. I just want to see you guys hit the battlefield. So, any final words, Lost or Mr. Man? Anything?
Best luck to you, man.
Yeah. Best
Same
of luck.
to you, bro.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the battlefield. All right.
Well, we'll have to see if Aquatic M60s can keep their heads above water.
Oh, aqua jokes.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, though, they kind of felt like they were a little bit loose there. Maybe they were drowning a little bit, just couldn't get the momentum going, and they feel like they finally have their head above water, like they're going in the right direction. They can see where they're supposed to be going. But now we have to see if they can stay there.
There's actually something to be learned from actually trying to swim with weights on. If your hands and legs are bound, one trick to actually put your head above water is if you feel like you're losing your ability to keep yourself afloat, just actually let yourself sink to the bottom. if you know like how deep it is, and say 30, 40 feet, hit the bottom, kick yourself back up, and actually the momentum will carry you back up and you can get yourself a breath of fresh air. So sometimes you actually have to go all the way to the bottom. Sometimes you have to fail proverbially in order to
climb your way all the way back up.
Exactly. And so that could have been aquatic last week. They just needed to hit the bottom of the pool, jump back up, and catch another breath of fresh air, get themselves back into the place.
Yep. Now speaking of hitting the bottom, it appears that Valence still really haven't left so much. Not to try to knock on them, but they're still sitting down there in 7th place right now.
Yeah.
What do you think they need to do today to move themselves out of that 7th place spot?
Valence talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Valence is going to have to really show up, though. And I think we want to return to talking about the maps with this one, because Mines is going to be troublesome for them. If they've shown up and they've prepared to play on Mines against aquatic M60s, that's going to be a big deal. Now, Cliff. I feel like Aquatic's going to be just fine on Cliff. What do you think about Valence on Cliff? Because
I haven't seen them play it enough. They've played it a couple of times, and it was really mixed success, so I don't really think they definitely have some room for improvement. If they can get under M60s early, especially on our first map, I think it could be all right. But like I said, if Mines doesn't go decently for Valence, I don't see this being a very close series at all.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to whether or not Valence studied, I think, is what we've kind of come to. We've been playing around with the idea of how Valence beats Aquatic today, or how Aquatic just plays it tight. Well, we're going to have to find out.
All right, yeah. And we're going to find out right now as we're going to head into our first map of the evening.
Mines, a small summertime map with lots of hills, rocks and other cover. The teams start the battle in the usual locations, but the base locations are different. One is located in the bottom part of the village and the other one is in the water. One of the key objectives is the center hill. That's why the teams will often select fast vehicles and tanks with strong turrets for cover.
And lineups coming in here, a 113, 3 Batchats, a TVP, a Batchat AP, and an M5355 for M60s. Valence, 3 Batchats, a TVP, 2 Grills, and a T49.
Yep, and opening moves, looks like we're going to have a strong middle push by Aquatic, taking control just under the hill, but actually holding back a little bit. Bales is going to be moving away, and look at this. We have a nice little eastern aggression from Valence. They're going to be moving out to the east side of the map, where we'll see what they're able to accomplish, if they're able to catch anything, because I do see one Batchat currently en route. Bales might be pinned, and if he goes down, that's one early Batchat lost, and the trap's about to be sprung. Bales is spotted, spots Fulcrus, and they're going to trade a little damage.
G-Forcer's going to come in here and back up Fulcrus. 1-for-1 blow between these 2 Batchats, and now there's a 2v1.
Yes, but high ground right now does go in favor to Aquatic. Aquatic should be able to do something with this, but Fulcrus is moving in, so is G-Forcer. Artie comes in, hits onto Fulcrus. He takes a lot of damage, but G-Forcer is able to finish it out, keep Fulcrus alive for now. Support fire coming in could take him down.
A lot of damage has been done onto Valence, though. Viral down to a one-shotter, and actually now he's completely gone. And that's basically a 2-tank lead for M60s.
Oh, a nice shot. Fulcrus is going to go down as well. So 2 for 1, not bad. So Valence is at a disadvantage right now on defense, but the attackers Aquatic still have to make their attack, come on through. All right, now getting ready for the counter push by Aquatic. They're moving Marsh 166 and the Bat AP off to the east side to combat G-Forcer. He realizes, is G-Forcer disconnected? It looks like he might have been.
I think what's happening here, if you guys look at the round timer, only 7 minutes was on the clock at the start. I think they might be just ending this to restart it.
Might have been a misplay. Interesting. All right, so looks like an early misplay for battle number 1. Please excuse that. That'll happen maybe once in a season, and with that one, we'll have to see what our...
Everyone's backing out to garage. I don't think M60's got the memo, though, so they're just going to go kill everyone real quick. But that does not actually count for anything.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Well, we didn't even notice this time, and that's a common thing. You just start the battle, get a little sim time. But let's look at that opening strat, what teams tried to do, and what they're going to have to do now that they just actually had a false start.
They just showed each team what they want to do. Now, there's a lot to be said about that, but now maybe Valence have to come up with basically a new plan. Now, the thing is to remember, this counts just like a disconnect. They can't change tanks right now.
Yep.
They are stuck with those lineups. So if they want to change strats, they're stuck with the same lineups. So now
that could have actually explained a lot about the strategy we saw. Did you notice how actually Aquatic M60s
they
went
would
towards
have
the middle?
typically what'll happen is they would typically go to map. So it looks like we'll have just a minute here. Okay, so looking at that. Anyways, so now we have to figure out, are they going to run the same strat? They brought 2 grills, a couple bat chats, a TVP, and the T49. What else can you do with that besides what they just did there? Because it's a very customized lineup for a very customized strat.
That's a good point. It might not be that flexible, but you could try something west side. I'm sure that water side you could still deploy much like that and get some success. The T49 is going to have some trouble, as it's a tank designed, I guess, to go more towards like the middle opening push and then probably die. But you could kind of use it like we've seen some of the UDESs used off on the west side, so a passive scout somewhere in order to try and get some of that work done. We'll have to see what happens with that, if they decide to redo it, or if actually the strategy and the play that they went for, knowing that there was a 7-minute timer, they might have done something different. So they could actually be playing a head game, because you don't know if your opponent's strategy that time was exactly that, or if it wasn't.
Well, then you have the whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah, try the same thing, see if it works. Although, also, with that Bales push out to the east, that was something that if that happens again in this battle, where we see a trap sprung like that that was Valence. A trap sprung from Valence like that, we could see, the trap work again. Probably not, and I expect better counterplay. But for what I saw from Aquatic on attack, the way that they attacked indicated they might not have been confident that that battle was legitimate from the start. So I think throw everything we know out the window, see what they come back with. I see that lineups are happening now. People are starting to ready up. So we'll have to see what goes on, because this is highly irregular. Happens from time to time though, and we just restart. Everyone readies back up, and we'll get going. But battle number 1, Mines. I think we did see Aquatic still coming out ahead. Valence is going to struggle.
Yeah, I agree. Now let's take a close look at what they're going to do. Remember, lineups are the same.
We'll go over those one more time for us when we get into battle, of course. Now, let's talk first Aquatic.
So Aquatic, a 113, a TVP, 3 bat chats, a tier 9 bat, and an M5355. Valence coming in with 4 bat jets, 2 grills, TVP, and a T49. So now the question is, do Valence try to go for the same thing? Or what else can they do with a double grill setup? Do they play more passive? Do they play out towards the 1-2 line? There's so many different options right now, and their first play has already been seen. So if M60s fall for it again, that's a problem. But if you look at it, it was actually M60s that were coming out the better of those trades.
We'll have to see, as now we do see the aggressive move. Big hill push coming out from Aquatic M60s. And here's the boost from Mr. Man. He's going to be able to make it up a little bit, so is Dark Ninja. And Bales is going to be heading on up.
And G-Forcer is actually just going to go to one of the bushes to spot this 8-9 line, not as many tanks committing. They do have Fulcrus, I believe it is, up on the boost already, taking a little bit of damage, losing his commander in the process.
Ouch, that's going to hurt. Okay.
Is he running rations?
He might just be.
But he has first aid kit, he just hasn't healed him yet. So looking at it, static, closing with the hill right now.
And, well, Fulcrus is on the high ground. This is great for Valence, right?
This is working out better than the last strat worked out, that's for sure. The HP is basically even.
Did they go for the boost like this last time?
No, they didn't. They went out to cut out Bales. This is 2 different ways to addressing the same problem. They're obviously worried about the 0 line. First time they sent 2 bat chats just to cut off any tanks, get out there and focus really hard on just getting aggressive and trying to stop Bales. Now they've actually taken control of the boost, and they're dropping a little bit further back to not lose the same amount of HP.
Oh, might as well jump on to something a little bit different for the moment. Matt Knight. Matt Knight is here today, and he is in the T49. He has not shown his face much this entire season, and he is the one Brazilian player on the team. And so
one Brazilian player in the league, I believe, right now.
I'd have to verify whether or not that's true. I feel like I'd be wrong if I said that in assuming, but one of maybe two, if anything. But he'll be playing the T49. He's got to play under probably a more significant ping than anyone else currently.
We have a lot of Ukrainians.
But I think they get a better ping than do the Brazilians to North America, if I'm correct.
I'd have to double check on that one. That sounds about right, but I think at very worst case, or best case anyways, it's roughly even.
Okay. Well, mostly, I know that mostly from reviewing replays from Gold League and then also from Silver League, where we have a lot of players that are international. And when you review a replay, you can see the players' ping that they had while they were playing. And so that's where I get that one from.
And now it's 113 coming out on the 0 line here, knocking down a tree.
G-Forcer's in a rough position because of that. He's passive in a bush, looking to... He should be relatively safe, but if he's spotted, Bales has shots on him from one angle, while Feel My Potato has shots from another. So if they figure out where G-Forcer is, and this is not something we see very often, if we see that from G-Forcer...
Oh, they could catch out the artillery right now.
Oh, they could, and they could catch out Mr. Man if they play it right. I want to see some fire go into the buildings around G-Forcer from people on his team.
I don't think they really have a reason to assume there's a passive scout there, though.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying with like Spooky or Viral? They could fire off towards the north and actually take down the buildings that are blocking G-Forcer's ability to spot tanks.
Yeah, but Felix is looking for a shot onto Fulcrus. Actually, he's going to change targets. Looks like he's going to aim over towards Spooky right now.
Yep. Oh, and I think G-Forcer's even thinking about taking the building down. But he knows it's probably not the wisest choice.
Well, what he has to have happen is he has to have one of the tanks from the back row take it down for him.
Yeah, that's what I was...
shoot from distance and then let him spot from there so he can remain. Blind shot coming out and a big connection with Spooky for almost half his HP.
That hurts a lot. I'll jump over to Spooky. He was just chilling out backside of a rock, and usual spot for a grill, but unfortunately a little too predictable. And that's what happens when you fit into those highly predictable positions. You're just going to get punished for it once. And shots going out to Dark Ninja from the high ground. That's from Fulcrus. He's taking a lot of damage for it, though. And he actually gets tracked out in the open.
And Fulcrus actually ends up hitting the building, which is the only thing saving Dark Ninja from taking another shot.
Yeah, and that last shell comes from Mr. Man on the high ground. So playing the counter position to that east side hill, he's able to get his kill, and now he's going to leave, realizing we've gotten our one. They don't know, I think, about Spooky, the damage onto that grill. They know it was blind fire. And Mr. Man actually gets spotted leaving the hill.
Matt Knight creeping over here on the 1-2 line, while Mr. Man and Dark Ninja are backing out of this 9-0 line. And Dark Ninja was spotted while he left, so they're going to know that something is up.
They're going to know that there's a move, but that's obvious, right? There should be a move after
Anytime
that.
tanks get unspotted for any amount of time, the other team needs to be assuming that they're making some sort of a play, that they're grouping up, or that something is coming, that they're planning something in those moments.
Yeah. And that's going to be it. Mr. Man looks like he goes for the jump, makes it, taking
Takes
two
a
shells.
lot of damage.
Just two shells. Nothing critical yet. Oh, a third from G-Forcer, surprise. And he's going to get, yes, 1, 2, 3. He needs one more, and he should be able to finish it off.
He doesn't get it, though, and G-Forcer's getting lit up, and Mr. Man gets the kill shot onto G-Forcer.
If he'd rolled slightly higher by just 33 damage over all of those shells, that would have been a dead Mr. Man. But because of that, that it's such potential. So much potential, and I got to respect it. Strong play by Valence. Very tricky, but not going to work out this time.
Matt Knight's still chilling out over on the 1 line. He kind of knows that Marsh was over there, but he hasn't seen that Marsh is already backed all the way out over towards the main island.
Yeah. And now, actually, I wonder, could Mr. Man be taken out by Valence with HE? That would actually help them quite a bit. But I do see Aquatics going for something right now. Let's take a moment and listen in with their comms, see what they're about to get up to.
Something weird.
They have 2 1-shots.
They're doing a plus right now.
That's Artie's back there.
Oh, yeah.
There's the push, guys.
Got AP.
Just crit the TVP.
Focus fire, guys.
The driver's dead.
Static has one more. Bat's pushing you, Seth.
Matt,
Yeah, I know,
we're
fucked.
Yeah, that's the thing. You should have gone for the hill push.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like you got shot by like, I don't know, I looked, you're at 11.
Looks like that was actually, excuse us, from Valence. Those were their comms, as they're, I think they already knew it was coming. And as this one gets cleared out, Blitz is going to go down. Matt Knight's going to be the last one alive in his T-49.
Does pick up the kill onto Veggie.
I mean, that's what the T-49 gun's all about. Just that one shot, one kill. Well, not always at tier 10, but I mean, you should hope for that. And they're going to find him.
He's still not even loaded yet. They're actually going to ram him a couple times. He's going to be loaded. Did you just go for the kill? Farm the fantasy points, Matt.
He just got double damage. And there he goes. That's going to be battle number 1, going to Aquatic. Strong start by them. We talked about this before the match began, and we said if Aquatic can start out with their win, and win twice on mines, that this one should quickly go the way of Aquatic. Now, with a weird start, that probably did throw Valence off a little bit more than the experienced Aquatic. Aquatic has been around in the league much longer. They know what to do. They're probably going to be able to keep their heads on straight a little bit easier than Valence, who are coming into the league later, are still trying to learn a few things about how it's done. And because of that, I don't expect them to bounce back from strange scenarios very easily, where some teams like Apex Eclipse, you would very easily expect them to just brush it off and move on, right?
But you also have to remember the old Bernal Empire and Elevate days with Static, Zone Delta, and G-Forcer. They've seen some weird things in their days.
That they have, but I don't know if that'll translate quite as strongly as that experience from Aquatic will help Aquatic. But looking at the post-battle stats, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 3 members of Aquatic putting up over 2k damage.
Dark Ninja putting up 62 fantasy points.
Yep.
Mr. Man 52. Not bad.
I actually feel glad about picking Dark Ninja at the start of this because it was that choice between Mr. Man or him, and well, I chose, and I guess it's so far paying off.
Yep, and then looking at the second page, both the grills for Valence not really able to get into the fight. Spooky, one of the top fantasy picks for Valence, only really doing 1 shot of damage in that grill, provided he did take a massive shot from that M53-55.
It really hurts you when you can't peek out in a grill very easily, because you're going to take damage when you peek out, right? Someone's going to say, it's a grill, we need to fire.
When you have something like an E3, you can, even when you're low HP, you can still peek because you still have that, half chance of bouncing a shell or whatnot. When you're in a grill, you just have to assume if you're spotted, you're going to take at least 1 shot of damage. You just have to assume that you're spotted, it's going to happen. And it's the same thing with the S-Tank to a certain amount.
You're a magnet. Although the S-Tank's a little bouncy.
It can be in the right angles if someone catches off your side or something. Your side armor is extremely thin in that tank.
Yeah,
but from the front, definitely.
Yeah, if you can get an S-Tank in a position where no one's firing at his flanks, amazing position. You're not going to take much damage at all, except against players who really know that tank.
And no one wants to sit in front of an S-Tank because it's a laser gun. It really is.
You can't face-to-face against an S-Tank in siege mode. He's meant to deal the damage. So as we get into battle number 2, people are readying up their tanks. This is the chance for Valence on attack. I think that as a defender, Aquatic should do just fine. Valence is going to have a tricky situation ahead of them. I don't know how they're going to navigate this one, but Rox, what do you think?
Well, looking at it, we have Matt Knight in an artillery, the M4043. A grill, a TVP, 3 bat shots, and a 113. I love seeing G-Forcer in those 113s. He's always been a great heavy tank player. M60's coming in with a 113, an IS-4, 2 bat shots, a TVP, a grill, and an M4043 of their own. Now, an interesting little tidbit here is the M4043 is actually the most picked artillery so far this season.
Why?
However, well, that's just what we're getting into. This is what's interesting about it. Is it actually has the worst average damage of any of the 3 artillery. The Lorraine, 155, actually has a higher average damage per game than the M4043
well,
does.
That's because if you bring if you bring a tank more often, right, you're going to get more. You're going to get a lot more
stats, right? The sample size is getting up there to where you can kind of say they're almost even.
But the sample size is not so big that it creates an outlier of those 0 or low damage battles. Because there are battles where M4043s just don't deal much damage, right? That happens a lot. And it's not necessarily the M4043's
that's the thing, is the M4043 is a show up or blow up. It's either because it has the ability to one-shot tanks. If it can penetrate, it can do a whole lot of damage.
All right, now opening moves Viral is going to be taking a little damage from, that was Veggie down below in the TVP, going for his opening little pay the toll. While Spooky and Static get it the sneaky way. So Valence takes the hill at the middle. Nothing special right now. And are you watching Matt Knight?
I am watching Matt Knight.
All right. We have to see what he's up to. I'm going to follow Felix for just a moment, because early in this battle, he's going to be zeroed on G-Forcer. And looks like that one might have just gone and landed a little bit short. Early damage from the arty I think will be crucial in this one. If early damage from the arty can take out one tank or something like that, I don't know. I'll have to see.
Artillery just looking to counter battery right now, Matt Knight. Not finding any shots, waiting for Felix to maybe fire. So we'll go ahead and jump over to Felix, see if he's getting ready to fire. He's lining up a shot. He's actually looking at the bush. He's fired recently. So he's trying to blind fire one of the bushes in the hill where teams so often put a passive scout. I don't think they figured out that Valence have actually pulled all their tanks back, and there goes a blind shot.
Nothing. Nothing's over there. Spooky and Static are sitting a little far back, trying to play it defensive. Counter battery comes in, I think.
From Matt Knight, but it came up short. That's why a lot of artillery players sit there behind that building, because after they fire, they can pull forward and pretty much be guaranteed safe from artillery.
Yeah, and that's just strong arty play right there. Paying attention to, I guess, more of the scouting role. Viral's going to move forward on the west side, make sure it's safe so that their arty can move up. M4043 needs that in order to get an angle onto the southern tip of the Mines Hill. And if he's able to do that, he'll be just fine. Now, looks like Bales gets spotted, starts blind firing. Viral puts a return fire out, just trying to tell him to keep his head down. And it looks, did I just see G-Forcer take some damage?
He took a little bit. I'm not sure from where.
I'm wondering as well.
I think it might have been the artillery.
That wasn't Bales, was it?
Oh, no, it couldn't have been the artillery from that angle, so it had to have been Bales.
It had to have been. I didn't notice him firing in that direction, and Artie comes out, barely misses Viral. Huge cloud of smoke. And I'm going to jump over to Matt Knight. Matt Knight's looking right towards the position currently held by that little bad chat, Bales. So Bales might get himself swatted in just a moment if he's not careful. Well, 20 seconds if he's not careful. And that could open up the flank, allow Valence some kind of southwest control. And southwest control goes a long way when it comes down to breaking a defense. But with and they have plenty of time, 6 minutes. So we shall see, because this one's going to be a slow play by Valence. And yep, that's going to be looking towards the south part of the hill. Spooky gets spotted trying to make some scouting runs. Dark Ninja's going to try and get shots out. Not
Felix loaded because Spooky's in a place where he's not that safe right now.
No, he'll be okay. Although he does proxy Veggie, which
that makes life easy for Felix.
That's what it should do.
This is the same place we watched Executus just get completely deleted off the map last time.
Well, here's the problem about it. Veggie is in the correct spot to avoid Matt Knight and his fire. He's just perfect. Right underneath the hill, just past a point where artillery can't quite get the hit. And he's going to turn around and actually move himself back into that position to take fire. We'll see. We shall see if he's able to get anything done with that. Because if we look at the angle from Matt Knight, we're going to see that... Spooky's actually trying to go for the scout run. This is him relighting. If he can get close enough to Veggie to proxy spot him, that should do something. And then southwest as well. Looks like Valence is going to see a bat chat yet again from Bales. And this one's going to slow down, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to slowly turn into a west side, best side kind of a play. As you see that 113 move down to the low ground. We're also seeing the grill that's played by Blitzwolf moving out to the west side as well. So we're going to see cat pressure on the west. They're going to hope for Aquatic to respond poorly, maybe overtly aggressive. And what they'll hope to create is kind of a desperate situation, right? They're going to hope to delay Aquatic just long enough to get on cap, get the cap points up. Aquatic has to make a risky move, make Aquatic pay for it, get the cap or get the kills and win. But with 4 minutes left, they've got just enough time that this is a viable option. If they wait much longer, a minute or two, I think, Rocks, this doesn't work out. This is not a strategy that wins for Valence if it takes too long.
And M60s have, over especially last season and into this season, the one thing they do very well is they understand the different lanes that teams can approach from and how to get their guns quickly onto target. And with Mr. Man sitting back there, Morphic, the artillery, the tanks just underneath the hill, if this push from Valence is too obvious and gets spotted too soon, they are going to pay a heavy toll to their tanks to get down there.
Yes, they will. We'll have to see how that goes. This is one of those battles where it's a lot of sit and wait, see what these teams are going for.
A lot of posturing.
Exactly. But there's not a lot of damage being dealt, as you notice. There's no damage that's gone out on Aquatic whatsoever in all of 6 minutes. So
the biggest problem that M60s have right now is a lack of active intel. They have a lot of passive positions.
But they don't need.
Well, exactly, and that's the conversation here: is are these tanks? Because for this to work, these tanks have to be positioned perfectly to get those early eyes and have enough warning. Typically, they've been pretty good, but if they back up just a little bit too soon, then things could fall apart. But look at this. Spooky already spotted. Viral falling right behind. Spooky taking a lot of damage. 769, and down he goes to Mr. Man in the grill.
Oh, and I love this position for Mr. Man, deliberately avoiding Matt Knight in the Artie. He's not going to be able to put that counterfire out, negating one huge tank for the team. Spooky goes down, and the reply will not be there. That's a huge issue for Valence, and a great play by Aquatic. Mr. Man only takes 121, where he would have been completely just deleted off the map if he were in another position.
Morphic putting a shot put into him by Blitzwolf.
And shots coming out. Feel My Potato able to deal one into Viral. Viral is now a one shot.
Oh, and Felix is moving. Does Felix get spotted on that back line there?
Did Felix?
No, he's not spotted yet.
Not quite yet. He's still open. Although Bales comes around, and he's going to take out Viral. So 2 tanks down now for Valence, and that's going to really blunt the spear for them. They're not going to be able to push this one through the
Felix
other side.
Is loaded. He's lining up the shot, trying to find the shot. He's going to fire it off and get the shot onto G.
That's one more bites the dust. Static's way in the backfield, irrelevant to the fight ultimately. Dark Ninja's out there as well, so he's pinning him down. Static's not going to be able to help anyone out. Well, he's going to go for it. He's trying. Deals 830 and outplays Dark Ninja by just a hair. But
it's just piece by piece falling apart for Valence.
Yeah, this would take a hero play for Valence to win. So that last shot going in Veggie's not.
Now, after watching those matches against M60s last week, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but highly improbable.
Yeah, this one's in the bag for Aquatic. Solid play on defense. It's very difficult to attack an airtight defense on mines to break it down piece by piece. And I got to say, Aquatic's response is good. It's not one of the battles where we're going to see anything super impressive because it was a very by-the-book adjustment from Valence to go west.
Spotted Felix lining up the shot.
It's
the kill.
There we go. Aquatic's looking good. Aquatic looks really good starting this series.
But now that leaves us in this spot where it's now a 2-0 for Aquatic M60s. And like we talked about before the game started, if Valence can't get their foot at least in the door very well may just be shut on their faces essentially as they go into the second map.
Yeah, there's no room to get any more foot in there. It's quickly being closed. It's up to Valence to stop this. They're gonna have to turn the series around, and if I know my Aquatic M60s, you don't want to go to a tiebreaker with them. So there it is. Battle number 2 goes to Aquatic M60s. They take mines by storm. And they are going to have a huge lead going to the rest of the season. They're the dominant team in the standings. They're the dominant team in almost every aspect we can talk about, and they have every advantage.
And the thing is for Valence is this is one of those teams they really need to catch. This is one of those teams that's next up in the standings that they need to leapfrog to have a shot at staying into this. So this is essentially a 6-point game if you think about it, because this is 3 points that Valence don't get and 3 points that M60s could walk away with, as opposed to if M60s lose and if Valence get the win, they could catch up and or tie with Aquatic M60s. So this match is vitally important for Valence's rest of the season.
Absolutely, because the way you end round robin 1 impacts the way that you can finish round robin 2 in a way. But you can look at it a few different ways and just say it's halfway there, right? We just play everyone twice.
And for everyone that picked Spooky, I am sorry. Looking at the rest of the damage here, Bales, who's been rather quiet so far this season, doing 4,300 damage.
No, Bales is a good pickup.
87 fantasy points. Mr. Man doing 75 fantasy points. 1 kill, 2,800 damage. Not bad.
Very good, in fact.
Yep, and then look at this down at the bottom. G-Forcer, Spooky, and Viral all putting up 0 damage. Matt Knight only really doing that 1 splash onto the grill. Oh, you don't like to see that if you're a fan of Valence.
Yeah, well, Spooky led the charge in the west side. It was kind of expected he was going to go down. And I think Aquatic did an excellent job at
focusing fire and knocking down that push from Valence.
Also being in positions that Valence did not expect. I took note of this when I was watching the push. I wanted to see where tanks in support positions were looking at tanks in aquatic positions. Tanks from Aquatic said, all right, you're going to expect I'm going to be here, here, and here. And there are 3 very common positions. They were in none of those 3 positions, and so when Matt Knight looked to get counterfire onto a grill spot,
he wasn't in the normal predictable position.
He was behind a rock. And because he's a rear-mounted turret, he can kind of back himself out.
And he has great gun elevation, and he could just back the back of his tank up onto that hillside, and he still had the gun elevation to get a shot on target.
Exactly. He got a shot on target, zipped right back into the rock, and Matt Knight sat there struggling for a minute to figure out what to do.
Very similar to how we see Artie play. Artie's safe, essentially, what we saw Felix last game in the south there. Or no, it was that game in the south.
Yeah.
He fired, and then he pulled forward into that building, and all of a sudden he has perfect cover even from artillery. It's the same thing, but with a grill.
Yeah, a direct fire alternative. But what I had to appreciate about it was that it was a very deliberate use of that, and he knew where Matt Knight would be. He knew where the support fire was going to come from. So it showed to me that Aquatic really understood what their opponent was about to do, and then when they acted, they had the response prepared. So it shows a lot of prep, and it says that Aquatic's probably got their head on straight today. So long or short series, Aquatic's probably going to walk away. That's the early tell.
Yep, no, I definitely agree. And we're going to be heading into Cliff here in a second, and then we have Himmelsdorf afterwards. And Cliff is a map that last season we saw Aquatic M60s have some very explosive gameplay on, very aggressive, and they took map control early, especially when they were attacking, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So I really hope we can see them emulate that same sort of aggression today.
We shall see as we're about to get into map number 2.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
And here we go with M60s, 5 Batchats, a TVP, and a T49. Valence, a Kronwagen, 4 Batchats, TVP, and an M4043.
All right, what do you think about that opening lineup? This is going to be Artie and no Artie, and Aquatics on defense. That means that they could possibly bully their opponent, but if they get too aggressive, if Artie gets that one connection, that could be it, right?
Taking a Batchat off the field at the start of this game, the Batchats do not have great DPM to begin with. The thing is keeping them in the fight and letting them get through multiple clips, because that burst is where things are important.
Exactly.
And so if the artillery could take a gun out of the fight, then absolutely, that could turn the game, that could decide the game right then and there.
We'll have to see if he's able to make an early connection. Fulcrus's early fire will be crucial to whether or not Valence is going to be able to break this defense, or whether or not Aquatic's going to be able to stall for the entire battle. Felix is spotted early on. Looks like Fulcrus is zeroing in. Kronwagen from G-Force are taking some early fire. And it looks like a shot is out, goes a little bit long. So first attempt right there from Valence. Not gonna roll. And we're gonna jump around on Valence, because we want to see what they're trying to go for in this opening move. The Kronwagen from G-Forcer, he's playing a heavy tank as he should. Goes up towards the middle, and he's going to be trying to, I think, probably get onto the top of the mountain, I expect, up near the lighthouse. And if we can get a Kronwagen on the hill near the lighthouse, just like an S-tank that we've seen succeed there before, he's going to be hard to dig out, and because there's no artillery from Aquatic, it's going to be that much easier for G-Forcer to deal damage. So it'll take him a minute or two. Looks like Spooky's already on the way up. And that T-49 just throwing some fire out again. And this is going to be a slow one yet again, as we get ready to probably listen in with Valence. Let's see what they're talking about.
You want to align your... Okay, so you see that black etching?
Well, yeah,
you want your left track on that, but most of your tank on the grassy side, and just keep wiggling WAD.
Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Got it, good.
I'm gonna go the slow way. Make sure you have eyes right now, Spooky. I'm peeking way aggressive.
Yeah, there you go.
Nothing here. Oh, I got laser mine.
No shots on that.
Careful.
Dark shot. I'm gonna clip here. I'm safe. Careful, Spooky.
Yeah.
Okay,
can we have, with this bat, come here and explore the backside? Because that's 3 bats there plus bat here. That means TVP up here plus then... we're really split though.
Yeah, that or
I already can hit that.
49.
Yeah, we need Artie to work here.
Artie. You can
blind firing back here.
Alright, GM's slowly starting to move up here. Let me know when you're up on the hill.
Careful. I can't go uphill this way, I don't think.
No. There's the back way along this side, but I don't think you've been practicing it.
Well, I'm in a cron, just remember that. Just make sure big time spots right now. Spooky.
Yeah, they're not poking right now.
I'm not getting spotted. I might be able to make a loop here soon and try and boost the backside.
Yeah, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna cover you.
Yeah, I'm still sitting over here.
I got liquor, Spooky. Backing off.
Blitz, if they push
Alright, Viral, make a
two
loop.
shots.
I can hear you, sir.
What do you, I can't boost this.
No.
I said if they push you, just run. I mean, that's safe behind the rock.
We're gonna have static get up there. Just stay safe, look out for shots this way.
Yep. Do they know you're
we don't want to start firework.
And that was an example actually of something I feel like I expressed a little earlier in the match, Rockstar, which was the unfortunate situation where you try and go for a boost that you aren't as prepared. I'm talking about when I was messing it up on mines. G-Force was having to learn a little bit about the boost here, how to climb in a Kronwagen.
It's easy enough to do in a Batchat, but doing it in a Kronwagen is extremely difficult. Now, one thing I want to point out real quick.
Yes.
Mines. We talk about how teams have kind of adapted to counter out the 0 line climb. They get tanks aggressive on the 9 line, and they're making efforts to counter that out. Well, look at how M60s are set up. They're set out to counter that same climb that G-Forcer's doing. Look at this. They have tanks on the high ground right here. They have a tank all the way over here just playing this bush, and we're going to see his T-49 get over here. And what that's doing is they're trying to open up as many shots as they can towards the Kronwagen.
Yeah.
And just from right here, as well as a lot of damage.
Beautiful arrows, Rocks. Beautiful.
I know, right? Mouse skipping around there. I don't know why that line is so long. There we go.
Yeah, always blame your equipment, right? So shots fired, we saw 750 go into G-Forcer earlier, evidencing those angles of fire. And now G-Forcer's trying to deal with Marsh and Bales, who are in that southern position. So what are the options for Valence? What are they going to need to be able to do in order to take back the map? Because west side is where most of the aquatic tanks are, but it looks like the cover on the east is sufficient from aquatic. Like, they'll be able to respond.
This play depends upon getting to hill control. If they can take hill control, they can work this 2-cap.
But it's taken too long.
It's taken way too long.
They're not going quickly enough. They needed to be on this hill about 2 minutes ago, right?
At least.
Yeah,
and now Dark Ninja is actually going to poke up and over, and he's actually not going to see G-Forcer then anymore, so they might think they've either given up or that they've done it real quickly while Dark Ninja had to back down.
I'm willing to bet Aquatic is confident that they haven't, that Valence hasn't made the jump yet. Because G-Forcer's trying just about to make it, and actually, oh no, he almost falls off the hill even. And yeah, this is a tricky situation. It's Aquatic looks like they really got aggressive, messed with Valence's opening approach, and because of that, G-Forcer's having a rough time trying to get to the hill, especially a Kronwagen, something not exactly one of the best mountain goat tanks in the game. And because of that, oh, looks like G-Forcer's going to find his way up. Backside of the hill. Urtai's pushing up forward, so Valence going for that aggressive move, but they left a lot of tanks way south.
That's Urtai just taking a lot of damage from that TVP in the background. He's going to get down into the low ground while TVP reloads, but this is not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, Urtai does not get the spotting that he needs. It's too clever of a play by the TVP.
Ninja looking for the shot right over him. He has one more shell to get. I don't know if it could be a kill shot, and it is. A little bit of a high roll there, 423.
Takes down Urtai.
Takes down Urtai, and it's still almost 1-to-1. Felix is a one-shotter at this point, so if they can take him out quickly, they can even this up.
If he's able to rotate out, though, and get into the backfield where he can just become a gun in the game, then we could see him stay effective. But yeah, you're right. If he stays in the position he's currently in, where he's actually spotted, there's a good chance he's probably going down. Now, Fulcrus in that artillery piece.
Viral's just pushing the middle 4-line right now, taking a lot of damage. 803, and Dark Ninja's going to be reloaded in just a second. They're just going to push over and collapse onto these tanks from Valence, and this is looking terrible for Valence right now.
Yeah, this is not good. Wasted an arty shell, unfortunately, on a dead tank, so not able to just delete one of those crucial M60 tanks that otherwise could have been. And, well, Veggie doesn't even get spotted, so the counter play by Valence to try and force the tank in the far north out from aquatic M60s, that's Veggie and a TVP. The attempt to try and just take him out of the game doesn't work. Veggie's able to back off safely. Spooky's trying to spot now, but again, this is not working out. Veggie finally gets spotted there. Shots fired. He does take damage, and he has to give up on his position. Okay, now Valence is starting to make the gains that they needed. Already misses a little bit, but the splash.
Problem is to get in a position that's viable. They've already wasted 8 minutes essentially, and now it looks like Marsh is going to be able to go find the artillery.
Oh, and there he goes. That's got to be gratifying. Scouts killing Artie is always their favorite thing. So, 1 by 1, looks like Valence falls. One more battle. It's a rough match for them. This is aquatic. They're finally showing up and blowing up. They're getting focused from their mistakes of last week. They've cleaned up quite a bit, and against Valence, who just aren't as prepared, they're dominating here today. They're showing us exactly how to control the battlefield.
And now Valence going for the only play they have left, which is stacking as many tanks as they can on cap, while Spooky goes for the screen. G-Forcer is actually spotted. Doesn't even have his frontal armor turned towards the rest of the guns.
Yeah, he realizes it's over.
Just going through the motions. Mr. Man up on the high ground. It's actually going to be Bales that finds the kill shot.
Yeah. Nicely played there. Mr. Man going to put the rest into static. And Rox, this is quickly going one way, and I think you called it. With the 2 battles going towards mines, definitely means that it quickly goes in favor of aquatic.
Now, this is the one saving grace I will say that Valence have right now is the third map is Himmelsdorf, and that is a map where they at least feel comfortable and they've looked like they could compete with even Apex and Eclipse. Not saying they'd beat them, but they can compete.
Yeah.
Some of these other maps, they look a little bit weaker right now.
They have to win on.
They need to take a win right now to make this 3-1, and then if they can capitalize on maybe some mistakes from Aquatic M60s and play their games, they might be able to get back into this.
Because if they don't win the next battle on Cliff, then they're going to be sitting there down 4-0, and every single battle is going to be a match point. Every single battle is going to be the battle where Aquatic gets their final win. So they would have to win twice on Hillsdorf, twice on Prohorovka. And looking at the damage, actually, Spooky shows up with some solid damage, 2,811 in his batch out, even on the
Bales
side.
and Mr. Man both putting up good numbers. Now, while they're putting up good numbers, what a lot of you playing fantasy have to remember right now is this is well on track to be a 5-0, which means while they're getting good points in these games, there's only 5 games for them to get points from, as opposed to some other matches may go 7, 8, 9 games even.
Yeah, but also Aquatic is known for going long in a match. So it's
right now, they're breaking out of the normal habits that they have, and they are just running through Valence.
This is true. But we'll have to see. Part of me thinks that, thinks, whatever you may call it, Aquatic will go back to what they always do and end up somehow playing a long series regardless of who they're against.
So play worse than they're playing right now, is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying it always just seems to happen. You know what I'm talking about? They just drop this one attack here or there, and all of a sudden that extends the entire series.
Make some more mistakes, have some clean rotations.
Or
get read by
the other team plays really well is the other option. You don't.
As much as I like Valence, I like a lot of players on their teams, they're friends of mine, but right now they're not showing what they need to be showing to be able to even get a spot in the playoffs.
Well, that's due to more Aquatic being a step ahead, I think, right now than Valence. Valence is trying. They're just being slow.
Well, they're being slow, and they just seem like they're that one step behind every second. And looking at the lineups right now, 5 Batchats, a 430, and an M4043 for M60s. Valence, 5 Batchats, a TVP, and a T49.
All right, so that no Artie strat coming out of Valence this time. Artie coming out of Aquatic this time. Almost a reverse, with the exception of swapping out a Kronwagen for 430. Object 430 is not a bad choice.
High DPM.
Good gun handling.
Pretty mobile. No, gun handling on it is abysmal. It's the worst of the Russian mediums.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not that bad though. It's workable.
It is workable, but the thing you have to remember is it actually has the same gun depression as the 121 Chinese medium.
It's -4.
-4.
Yep.
So it really struggles.
On hills.
On hills. Its turret is pretty weak.
It's nimble.
It is nimble, but it takes some really interesting play to make it work. It's good on city maps. It's decent on, say, something like Ghost Town. But a map like Cliff, I'm not necessarily sold on it yet.
Yeah, I see what you're going for. So, hard to rationalize the 430 pickup.
Well, and especially because of how Cliff is set up with all the little bumps and hills and everything, and having to play a lot of hold downs. The 430, I don't know, is the greatest choice. Now, if a brawl breaks out, teams just go straight up and over the middle, and they're just going to go for the brawl, then the 430 can definitely be leveraged. Use its DPM, be the consistent fire tank in that fight. But right now, I don't see that happening. They're not setting up for a brawl. They have tanks spread out everywhere. They have artillery. So I don't know, can this evolve into something where they can really leverage it, or is it just going to kind of sit back and get some shots off and be beaten up on all game?
Possibly. So I guess then we have to say, okay, the strategy that Aquatic is going for hinges on them getting into a brawl, because the specific tank, the Object 430 that they've chosen, is deliberately on a lineup for damage output. You get it in a brawl, it doesn't snipe so well. Well, it snipes okay enough, right? You put out blind fire damage.
A lot of the Russian mediums, well, that they aren't as accurate on paper as, say, a Leopard 1 or an AMX-30B.
But when you're blind firing...
They have the rate of fire, so they can constantly just rifle off shots. And 2, they're still accurate enough to where you can make it work.
And I'll also make a note, ammo capacity is high enough to the point where you can pretty much do that for an entire 10-minute battle, and you probably won't run out of shells.
Also fair.
Yeah.
Also a fair point.
I started actually thinking about that.
5 seconds. Spooky could be in a world of hurt right now.
Oh, no, he'll be all right. He'll be all right. Static might be in a world of hurt in just a moment, as already just reloaded, shot out, and connection for 882. Marsh picking up a little damage there. And that's going to soften up Valence a little bit more for them to be able to poke out. Viral also at the same time taking some damage in his T-49 from blind fire. That's from Felix. And, well, even though Valence's tanks weren't really spotted, they were going to take damage. Static, though, was spotted on top of the hill.
So, in my opinion right now, Valence as a whole, the weakest part of their game is this sort of slow play, this sort of posturing, the kind of moving around.
Sorry to interrupt real quick.
Go for it.
Looks like Felix takes a lot of damage in the middle of the map, getting picked off by Blitzwolf. And at the same time, looks like Viral jumps. Oh, Spooky goes down as well in the mid, and Viral goes towards Artie. He's going to be able to actually play one-on-one with Feel My Potato, who's going to start taking sniping damage from way downtown.
Well, this is actually, and I don't know why Viral's choosing to leave right now. This is bad for him because he's going to get picked off. Feel My Potato's going to find a shot. Why he's not staying just behind that rock, I don't know. It looks like he's going to get just barely safe.
Not safe enough.
But the Artie should still have the angle on him.
Artie's not going to care.
No, he's not looking for him.
He doesn't care.
But here's the thing. Viral now knows that there's a bat chat on top of the Artie out of the fight in the low ground.
Yes.
That means that the other 5 guns still alive for Valence could go force a 5v4 somewhere, provided they don't have a lot of HP on Static.
But they have to watch their angles. Feel My Potato and Veggie. Oh, actually, let's take a little moment, jump on over to G-Forcer, getting shots into Bales. Bales trying to sneak into the backfield. Looks like Static is very low nearby, and Artie's going to miss G-Forcer. That damage could have just completely won this one for Aquatic. I think of one good connection of Artie onto one of the bat chats, solid connection there would probably finish this one up.
Now, I will say the one thing about the 430 going down, the reason he got caught out like that is because he had to go higher up on that hill. He had to get his drive wheels over the top of it because he doesn't have the gun depression to sit behind it. He had to go over the top.
Earlier.
And he got tracked in the open and ended up going down just because he had to move that bit further to get a shot on target.
Yep. So just the tiny details are the difference there, and Aquatic loses out on
and
one.
Viral does go down to Feel My Potato, and Valence may have just let a great opportunity kind of slip through their fingers because now Feel My Potato can rotate out close to safe.
Yeah, if Viral would have been able to stay up
Static,
playing, that would have been great.
Lit taking a shot, takes another one, and finally Folkers puts a connection, a second connection, 702.
Puts a third one out, fourth actually, sorry. That's going to be a miss, and he's on reload. So Mr. Men will hopefully peek out just in time to start taking more shells. But this is not looking good for Valence. Valence is in a tricky position. They can hold. I think it's possible. 7,000 hit points in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So it could happen. But Aquatic reasonably should be able to figure this one out. They have been so far. And there, shots fired from Bales into the high ground of G-Forcer. G-Forcer
already shots going off, but G's going to back out just in time. Oh no, he hasn't fired. He still has the shot.
Oh, and then Blitzwolf, where were you? What were you doing, Blitz? He's up. Oh, there's the push from the low ground.
Urtai getting caught out in the open. Artillery still looking for a shot onto G-Forcer, who's trying to help out Urtai.
No, he's not.
Already fires the shot. Comes up short.
Nope, not going to happen. Now, Veggie, Feel My Potato. They are currently far west, so this is quickly.
G-Forcer in a world of hurt right now. He goes down to Dark Ninja. Static trying to capitalize on it. but Urtai and Static both get picked off, and this is going to be a 4-0 lead for Aquatic M60s.
Dark Ninja gets himself killed jumping off the hill. Fulcrus goes for one more.
Gets 2 kills in the process, so not over yet. However, 1637, 1800, and that is game.
That's it right there. That's Aquatic taking this one 4-0. They have 1 left to win. It's going to be on Himmelsdorf. And the only way Valence wins this match now is in a tiebreaker where they take 2 points and their opponent Aquatic will take 1. That is the only way this one goes towards Valence. It's easily should be a 5-0 for Aquatic. They're showing up playing very well today, I think, and I don't see any reason for them not to win the next one in Himmelsdorf.
Now, one point that I was going to get to during that game that cut me off for, I want to go back to real quick. The thing that Valence impressed me on early in the season doing well, and they haven't been doing it recently, it's their team play and coordination when they make plays, when they get aggressive, when they make rotations. They keep trying to play this slow game, this sit back and wait, this try to reactive type plays, and it is really kind of hindering them. I don't think it's something that they excel at, and they keep getting put into these situations where that's the type of gameplay they're trying to execute.
They're trying to play something that isn't their style, and they think that's how you play the game, but they can prove to us, and they have proven to us, that's not necessarily the case, is if I'm getting what you're saying. So what are we going to be looking for in Himmelsdorf and Valence? What are we probably going to see out of Aquatic? As I believe it looks like Aquatic's going to be starting on
defense.
Ooh, so they should be able to finish this one out. Defense is a good side for them.
This could be a 5-0 Valence. Now, once again, I said Valence, this is one of the few maps that they have where they have actually a decent win record on. I believe they are, I want to say 4 out of 6 games they've won.
So that gives a decent chance.
They have a fairly decent chance. They've played it pretty well. They beat it's the one map where they got 2 rounds off of Dare the other day. So it's one map that they've shown they can play on, they can rotate. But Eclipse on Thursday had some great reads against them. Maybe they just too predictable. They had studied some of their older games and they kind of read what Valence were going to do, and they really weren't able to get into the fight much at all during that game. So we'll have to see if they've kind of gone back to the drawing board, maybe changed up their strats a little bit, or maybe they just try to show the same thing, but they're actually doing something different, maybe bait Aquatic M60s.
What about
and making a different rotation.
An aggressive play, though, from Aquatic M60s? If they play aggressive on defense, we've talked about how they are great in a brawl or in a situation where they're just forced to be coordinated. They're in a fight like that. If they can do that, they probably walk away with this easy.
Yep, I agree. But let's see if they can make it easy for themselves and if they can get back into the series right now.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
And tell me about the lineups.
Well, all you need to know is the, what am I looking for? The kids song. Something about 3 blind mice. It's basically what we got right here. That, 4005, an E3, an Emil 2, and an STI. So they literally are 3 blind mice because they have no eyes. They have no scouts. They have no mediums. They are going to sit there and hope that the other team drives into them and then they can hold and withstand the brawl. Valence, 2 215Bs, a 113, 250Bs, a grill, and an AMX 1390.
So a lot of French tanks, like we've always seen, French tanks being the most popular tanks in the entire league. I think 50B being second place as far as tanks picked.
To none other than the Batchat.
To none other, of course, than the Batchat. Urtai in the 1390 is going to struggle in this battle. 1390s do not perform well even with gold rounds against a mouse. So he's going to have to go for one of the few weak points if he engages against one, and even then the damage potential is rather low. Fulcrus taking damage in the opener. Shots down the 2-3 line, long range. Looks like blind fire probably coming back towards Fulcrus. He's going to actually take damage for it.
So here's
blind fire back towards the STI from Veggie.
So here's a little bit of a fun trivial fact for you.
Oh, yes.
So far this season, the mouse has been shown 28 times, has racked up 49,000 damage. Its average damage comes in around 1,700. 21 kills on this season for the mouse. And a large portion of that has to be from Aquatic M60s, especially the last time they ran this strat.
All right.
I believe it was versus Eclipse where they ran this strat near flawlessly.
So it worked out last time. But I think last time we saw this, it was against a lineup that was doomed to fail.
A very light lineup with a lot of French autoloaders.
Exactly.
And if you look at Valence, they have two 215Bs, which that's 2,500 HP in each of those, so they have some HP to play with.
Yeah, but it's still not competitive with the mouse hit points. You put 2 mouse out there, and you've got almost an entire other tier 10 tanks worth of extra hit points to throw around, right? 3 of them, to be specific. So 3,000 hit points is 500 more than the 215Bs. That's 1,500 hit points. That's a, what is it? That's like that's a 1390 and some change, right? That's what you're bringing to the battlefield. You're bringing so many extra hit points that even if your mouse take 2-3 shells, you're going to be able to feel safe. You're going to be able to feel like you can walk away from that and do something.
The best thing that Valence can do right now is make these mice move and come across the map. If you notice how they're set up, what Valence have to do is they have to find some way to get cap pressure on this cap, and they have to make it so these 3 tanks right here, here, and here are not enough to get the resets. Now they should, keyword, have most of the angles, especially on that 1390.
But the Emil 2.
But even the Emil 2, he'll have eyes on there, he'll make it hard to get there. Yeah. But if they can keep that cap pressure going, what they have to do is get these mice to move and rotate around either through the courtyard or come back out this way and come over here. And when they make that rotation, they have these guns set up to shoot up this lane to punish the courtyard, or tanks up onto the hill to shoot down this way. There are a lot of different things that they can do, and they have to make those mice move. That is where they can get the damage off. If they sit here and try to push into this crossfire with these mouses sitting stagnant, that's going to lose Valence the game.
Okay, so if Aquatic, though, predicts that the cap pressure is going to come from the southwest, I expect that they will adjust. They will figure out what to do.
And that's my point. They will adjust. But the thing is Valence have to capitalize on that adjustment. When they make that rotation, they have to find ways to get damage into those tanks, because that's the only way that they can even this out. Because look at the HP just to start. Valence are starting off roughly 2,000-3,000 HP down just from the lineups.
Exactly. And even with some damage being dealt, Aquatic would still be only even with Valence. And now, the damage being dealt, nice. I think that's HE coming out from down south. Dark Ninja realizes he needs to back off and, well, he'd maybe wait a moment. He's got 2 shells loaded. He's going to decide, I guess, well, just sit back for a moment. Got to give some ground. But that opens things up for Valence. They can begin moving up. They can put something on cap, possibly, especially if they can keep Dark Ninja's head down. If they can keep doing that, they might be able to get rid of him, and that's where we could see the push come up from Valence. But right now, it's a slow game, and Valence has got 5 minutes and 30 seconds left. They've struggled the entire series trying to break the defense of Aquatic, try and find their way in. Aquatic is comfortable. They're willing to let time just keep on going. And Valence is going to have to get a sense of urgency in here.
Well, the thing that they need to get going is they need to find a way to get some cap pressure on one of these caps.
Yeah.
They're running out of time to make a rotation if they want to back out. It's within the next 30 seconds that if they're going to go to their cap, they have to make that rotation now, and they need to make sure that they make it quickly and they set up as soon as they decide to rotate.
Yeah, it's not going to work out, I expect. Valence is already 5 minutes in. The damage dealt is not there. Dark Ninja in the Emil 2 is about as much as you can hope for damage dealt. You know, he's not even the weakest tank. The mouse are going to be able to move in, and they should be able to clean this one up, even though they're rather slow. And I'm seeing it now, I think. What was that? That was Feel My Potato.
And finally, the 1390 coming out to get on cap. Now, a lot is going to rely upon this 1390 not getting reset. He needs to get into an angle where he can just sit here and not take any HE splashes, and he can get this cap up to about 50% and make Aquatic M60s uncomfortable. Because look at how the rest of the guns have set up. They've taken courtyard control. They're trying to box them into this 1-2 line, and now it's going to be up to M60s to get the resets. If they can sit back and get the resets, this is their game. This is over. If this 1390 can sit here and bait these shots successfully and not get reset, they have a shot at this. And just like that, that's the first reset already coming in, hit the backtrack of Urtai. Needs to change the angle.
Yep. Well, I thought that might have been HE, because what I saw Veggie do was he actually reloaded, and he might have been throwing HE out there.
Yep. Now, one thing to think about is in this sort of situation, if you know you're going to try to play this sort of game and the other team's most likely going to run this sort of defense, we've seen like Crusader SPs and other lower tier stuff come out. why not bring something really small? Why not bring a 12T or a T21, something that's super tiny that has an even smaller profile than a 1390, if you know that this is how it's going to play out?
Well, because you're hoping the 1390 could still be viable in a combat situation, in the brawl. And so when you bring those other smaller tanks, they're far less effective, right? And far less durable. So...
But at this point, the 1390 is not going to be in the fight. He's just going to be sitting there for cap pressure.
Yeah, but if you're allowing a 1390 to sit on cap and you're letting your opponent get time to take HE splash shots at that tank, there's something wrong. You need to be taking the attention away from that cap. You need to be doing something about that. As now we actually have Feel My Potato and the mouse pushing out into the open. Looks like it might be a trap, as we have Fulcrus also moving in, trying to find damage onto Feel My Potato. But even 50Bs are not going to be able to deal enough damage between the two of them to take him down.
Cap up to above 70% now. 35 seconds, there's only one on cap, but the 4005 is going to commit. He's going to push down. He's going to fire and miss and put a shot into the dirt and end up going down.
No way. Urtai's not about to get this cap out. Veggie's not firing at him. Moving forward, taking a lot of damage.
Veggie's trying to open up the angle. That's why he's moving forward. Valence need to shoot at Veggie right now. They need to make sure he can't get any forward, that he can't get the reset. All guns need to shoot him. And now they have a shot. Now he has the one line open. He can actually shift, so Felix can't get the reset.
Possibly.
They need to track him. They need to stop Felix in the open.
Felix
8 seconds.
Oh, and a second track shot from Viral. That could
4
do
seconds.
It.
3 seconds. 2 seconds. And Valence gets the cap.
And no, maybe, yes, I don't know.
They get it.
Yes.
They get it. Valence put a point up on the board.
There's a lot of kills coming out. That's going to extend the battle a moment.
But look at Blitz. Blitz is all the way down there. He's safe.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. That was... Oh, that was so close. I thought for a moment that was the reset. It was a fraction of a second too late. Locked in on the cap. The kills extend the battle just a second. And that's not going to be enough. And it's going to be it's going to extend the series, actually.
And that whole game kind of summarizes Valence in a nutshell. You can see that they have the right idea. You can see what they're going for. You can see they understand how to break it. But this whole season, just like today, they're taking so long to do it. Now, this time they squeaked it out, but that was way too close for comfort.
That felt like Aquatic dropping the ball. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like Aquatic dropped the ball. They knew what they should have done. They saw what they needed to do. They had the response ready and waiting, and they just didn't execute in time. You could say something about the lineup. You could say that with a mouse lineup, it's a bit too slow to respond. But the options, it was all there. I felt like they could have figured it out. But props to Valence for picking one up and extending the series. If they win 4 more and they come back, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane against a team like this, against Aquatic. But, you know, Urtai in the 1390 didn't have to deal a single bit of damage. Static in the 50B puts only a little bit of damage on the board.
Well, let's get into hypotheticals here for a second.
All right.
Let's say that Valence do win this round.
Yeah.
Goes on to our 4th map.
Okay.
Prokhorovka.
Okay. Prokhorovka, what do you think that goes?
Well, you have Valence. Prokhorovka is their most played map. Yeah. By no means their best map, but their most played map. They have a lot of game time on it.
Oh, actually, I just got told by production we do have an offline replay. So
let's check it out.
We could take a moment, let's take a look and see how the offline matches are doing right now. We got Apex versus Dare. This is a heavy hitters match, and so far it looks like opening is not bad at all from both sides. Dare putting up a real fight.
But it looks like Apex are going to pick this one up. They're pushing around. They have the extra guns alive. And that is going to make it 4-0 in favor of Apex.
Wow. That is, looking at my match stats, it looks like Ghost Town, they move on to Murvanka. And just like this match, it's quickly going one way. And that just shows you just how dominant Apex is against a team like Dare, one of the top teams right now.
They are the 2nd place team right now.
Yeah.
Well, they may not be by the end of tonight, because if Eclipse get the win, that's going to be Eclipse moving up. M60's getting the win. I think they'd both leapfrog or come close to leapfrogging Dare Rising.
Let me check real quick. I've actually got the standings on my sheet over here. And actually, yeah, if that happens tonight, yeah, that could be hugely impactful. Aquatic would be able to jump.
That could be 07. Well, 07 play Eclipse, so whichever team wins that 07 Eclipse match, that could be one of them leapfrogging Dare Rising into 2nd place. And you have to remember that 1st and 2nd place get the automatic bye to the offline regional finals. So that 2nd place seed is hugely important.
So let's jump back onto this match, back on track. Tell me about these lineups, Rox.
Aquatic M60s, 250Bs, an IS-7, a Kronwagen, a T-57, a Grill 15, and an AMX 1390. Valence, a 113, a 50B, a 183, a Batchat. Urtai, once again, playing the AMX 5100, the only person in the league to bring the 5100 so far this season, and G-Forcer dropping down to the Tier 9 in the Emil 2.
Do you think there's any reason not to bring a 5100? Is there any reason, an argument against bringing that tank? Because it seems like just a reasonable lower-tier French auto.
I need to do a direct comparison between that and the Emil 2 to get a feel for it, but the Emil 2 has that turret and has the survivability. And I don't think that the DPM on the 5120 is much better than the Emil 2, so I don't know that it's... I don't know why you just wouldn't bring the Emil 2 to get the extra gun depression and turret armor. It is a little bit, I will say, it is a little bit quicker. Yeah. That's the one thing it does have.
If you're going to be aggressive, probably the 5120. If you're going to slow it down and go hold down, Emil 2 makes a lot of sense.
And Valence are on defense right now, so playing those hold downs, getting those shots off down the long lanes, that's really important. So
it could also be personal choice. Urtai is a bit of a quirky guy. You notice he brought a 1390. You had questions about that choice. I agreed with it, but that's only probably because of my experience playing with Urtai, right?
Well, you have to, with that whole situation, you have to assume that Valence have done their homework, that they've seen that defense, and they have a plan to break it. And they clearly showed. We don't see teams go for that one tap off.
And here's the push right across. Marsh leads the way, doesn't take any fire, lucky for him. And crossing also is Bales. Dark Ninja also taking no damage, but Fulcrus fires and does just a little bit of a toll. And Aquatic has presence now in the northeast side of the map. They move around, focus fire onto G-Forcer. He's not going to last. And there we go, shots fired. Urtai taking damage, and nice jukes, actually wasting a lot of shells from Aquatic M60's autoloaders early in this fight.
Mr. Man with the shot onto Static ends up missing. Blitzwolf on fire right now, ticking down. 300, he's a one-shotter. Damage just going all over Valence right now. They're not really trading it out outside of Felix. Great focus fire there.
But the damage is going on both sides. About 5,000 right now for Aquatic, but that could quickly change. Their autoloaders are going to run out of momentum, and Urtai is barely alive at the end of his fight. Great job for a 120. Not anymore, never mind. But is this going to pay off? 4 tanks alive versus 5. Aquatic does have a slight advantage.
Only 1,000 HP in favor of Aquatic M60s.
But look who is alive. Spooky is alive in his FE.
And Static, who's looking for a shot right now. He has that 183, so he could take one of these fields, or one of these tanks completely off the field. Even Mr. Man with a 1,300 HP.
And
one shot could end it.
Spooky gets a crucial kill. Just as Bales shows up to try and blow him up. Should be able to get the final killing blow. And he does. All right.
Viral might have the kill shot onto Bales here. Static's going to look for it. He's going to fire it, but that's going to be the last shot he gets off. He's going to go down, and now it is a 1v3. Valence's last hope right now
is a
Viral in the Batchat.
And he's surprisingly the one alive at the end of the brawl. Usually he goes down a little quicker, especially since he's in a Batchat, you'd expect it as well. And
well, it's also it's not just the Batchat, but it's also Viral. He's a player that likes to get aggressive, that likes to be a little bit borderline reckless, I guess you could say.
He usually, and that's his role on the team, to play that aggressive player, that role, and to do what he can. Now, here's an interesting thought, and follow me on this. Viral in a Batchat is one of the few tanks I think that could clutch a match like this. It's mobile enough, it has the burst, so if he finds someone out alone, he could take them down. He'll have trouble against the Grill Mr. Man. Mr. Man is sitting on 1,048 hit points.
I don't know that he has time to do this. He's going to turn around after going towards the hill.
Oh,
There's cap. 3 tanks on cap. That's 30 seconds he has to get in position to get the reset, and he is almost as far away from that cap as you could possibly be on this map without going over to Ruinberg or Steps somewhere.
Without visiting literally another map.
Yeah.
He is as far as he can get. Yeah, I don't think he expected the cap fast, and you're right, he might not be able to get there.
He's not going to get there.
No, he's not, actually.
He doesn't have the time.
Look at where Dark Ninja, Mr. Man, and Marsh are. If they were not in exactly the position that they are currently in, no, actually, not even close. That's it.
Cap out.
GG.
That is going to be Aquatic M60s walking away with a 5-1 victory in favor of themselves.
Nicely played. We thought for a moment it was going to be a straight blowout. So good job on Valence to pick up a win on a cap fast on Himmelsdorf Battle 1. But 4 battles in a row, just Aquatic was dominant, completely dominant. Valence was at no point on the same page as their opponent. It seemed like they were always a step behind. I respected some of the plays they brought out, some of the sneaky stuff from G-Forcer. on Mines was something to appreciate. Some of the way that they went for the attack on Himmelsdorf had some merit, but Aquatic on every battle has been playing it much more succinctly, much quicker.
This is the M60s I like to see. We saw it out of them last season where they really showed that they were one of those top teams, and it wasn't until the end, right before the playoffs, where they really started to struggle and drop down. Looking at the damage here, Mr. Man, 2,800 damage, 90 fantasy points. Everyone that picked someone from this match will be happy that it was 6 rounds instead of 5. They managed to do something. But looking at the second page, even the 183 is static. 140 damage, 1 kill.
Wow, he didn't really.
Now Marsh in the 1390, 72 points.
He got to fire
for sitting on the
twice.
cap.
Static got to fire twice that battle. Of
No,
course he didn't get to perform
damage.
well. He didn't even get to see any targets before everyone blew up.
Fair enough. Looking at damage for the series, 1,600, 460 fantasy points for Mr. Man. I almost pretty much instantly regret taking him off my team right now.
Oh yes, Bales was a good choice.
Pretty solid game today. Looking on the second page here, no one really of note. G-Forcer, 168 points. It's definitely disappointing, but especially compared to how Valence played, I'm surprised they have anyone on the first page almost, to a certain extent.
Oh, Spooky makes sense on the first page, right? He's usually a top damage dealer, and Valence didn't get to do what they wanted to do in this match at all. I think Aquatic was completely dominant. It was pretty cut and dry as far as things go. I don't think there's a lot to be said about Valence and what they can do going forward. They've got to just get up to speed. They just need to get up to speed with Aquatic. Aquatic looks really strong right now. They look like they're on the same page.
I agree. They're playing well. They're finally kind of out of that slump that they're in.
Yeah.
And this may be the difference between this season and last season. Last season, they hit their stride early. They played well early. And they had some good games in the middle of the season, and then they kind of dropped off towards the end. A little bit questionable. Some games where you're kind of like, they look all right, but you weren't sure about it. And then playoffs came, and they just completely choked.
Yeah.
They started off the season slow. They kind of getting into things, had some struggles, and now they're starting to hit their stride. If they can carry the stride through the second round robin, maybe we'll actually see them make a decent run out of something.
All right, well, we do have Mr. Man on the line to talk about that match. So welcome, sir, to the broadcast. Tell us about that match for you guys. How did it feel as Aquatic? Did you feel like you were in control the entire time? Because that's what it looked like to us.
Yeah, it felt like almost every round we felt like we had complete control. Obviously, the resents didn't come in on the one Himmelsdorf defense, which we'll have to look at some positioning and maybe some tanks to deal with that.
Yeah,
that strat.
That was the confusing battle for me. I was sitting there expecting there to be the reset, but then I saw everyone from Aquatic just kind of go, and it felt like you guys thought it wasn't going to come to that the battle wasn't going to, you weren't going to need to leave your cover to reset cap, but. What happened there? Was it too slow of a lineup maybe? Is 3 mice too many?
I think there was a couple of missed shots by the 4005, I think, and I think we relied too heavily on the ST1 to be able to get some resets as well. So that was the issue there.
Okay.
All right, and my question for you, Mr. Man, Cliff, your defense. It looked from your setup, because it was definitely a different setup on Cliff than we've seen out of a lot of teams. I kind of feel like that was more of just a direct counter to the hill, essentially, to stop other teams, not just Valence, but anyone from getting up onto the hill. Is that kind of how you guys set it up, or is there a different game plan that I'm not seeing?
I mean, that's definitely it. Definitely the meta right now for attack is to, take the hill through the boost, and it definitely does counter that pretty well. And also we have certain things set up so that, we could deal with the 1-2 line play, and then also the 8 line play like you saw in that match. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have been studying up. I saw your Mines play looked a lot like what I've been seeing in EU and CIS regions as well. So it's something that has migrated a little bit slower over here. How are you guys picking up on that east side play on Mines? Because it's becoming more and more intricate to kind of decide to play that side.
It definitely you have to play it really tight, and you have to, know like exactly where the enemies are based on where you're getting spotted, and you just gotta bleed as little as you can and just gain. I mean, you're really fighting for every inch when you're on Mines attack, and you just gotta grind it out and use all the time you can to do it. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. You guys were phenomenal, absolutely dominant. Good luck for round robin 2.
Thank you.
Love having him on.
Yeah, I love the insight there. Just hearing, that they have more than one game plan. So often you hear teams, set up for just one thing or another, and they don't really look at every little angle. And these strats, they're deliberate. They're set up to counter multiple different angles, but they're different than what we're seeing. So they clearly have been putting in the time to study pretty much everything and coming up with strats where they feel this will leave us in a good position to deal with anything, not just one strat.
Absolutely. So I think that does it for Aquatic versus Valence. Very clean match from Aquatic. Valence puts up a decent fight, but Aquatic is just light years ahead of them. So we're going to take a moment to get the next match ready. While we do that, why don't you guys check out this little media piece? I hope you find it entertaining. Also,
this is risky. This is over. This is over. Valence are about to lose 2 tanks for basically nothing.
Oh, no. Are they going to notice in time? They don't see it on the mini-map.
They don't see it. I think this is just a good read from Eclipse. Yeah. I don't think they had the intel. I think this is a blind rotation, but it may work out for them.
I think it's about to work out as Exo and Tigers are getting into position. T1 Diabetic, Dark God Zim, and Vetro are all just pinching on the position of G-Forcer. And I like this. Look, G-Forcer has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Needs to take some damage. Oh, and a nice counterplay by Spooky. He gets out of his pinched position, is able to put pressure onto Dark God Zim. He's going to have to get out of this position, back off, and try and live. Or maybe he can play this smart. Maybe he can stay up here. Maybe he can force...
Blitzwolf has one shot at this. Blitzwolf has to make this shot count. The second he fires and misses, he's almost dead. Now, he does have full HP, and the TVP can't clip him.
But Durgil, let's be careful because he flips himself on his side. And that's gonna hurt.
That's a tank down. Now the cap is at 10 seconds. The TVP needs to find a reset.
That hurts.
He gets him down. The reset though, Zone needs to find it. He gets 1 reset. 5 seconds. Is Blitz gonna be loaded in time?
He needs to get a kill shot. He has to get the kill
2
shot.
2 seconds. 1 second. He needs to fire. He gets it. Not in time. Not in time. And that's gonna be a win for Dare Rising.
Yeah, that hurts. So
the reset does come in.
The longer this goes, it's still good for Dare because they have Artie. They can just ping away at people. And if this goes faster, they've got more guns in the battle.
It's going to take a lot of very bad trades out of Dare to lose this round. And
well, here's actually a good little bit opportunistic play, as it looks like Bad Chat's getting the proper positions, and they are able to take down Bird and Fungus. Now Aggressor is going to move out, and he's going to move against Felix. He's on fire, and he goes down. Now you've got 3 tanks, Bird and Fungus, Aggressor, and My Little Poop.
Randall, make it stop, Randall.
It's not going to stop.
Make it stop.
No, this is the highway to the danger zone. You're on the struggle bus right now. And Dare has just lost Harmless as well.
The bounce onto Chase.
Oh,
what are we watching?
NA strats.
Game of Throws, guys. Game of Throws.
That's what it is. Dare, though, I mean, even with the throws, they're still able to pick up enough wins. So this is going 2-2. Chase Potato takes a hit from Dare. Felix not taking anything in response, and the S-Tank from Mr. Man.
Bales is coming in with almost full HP with Mr. Man. They're gonna get Chase Potato down.
All right, Artie, tell me this is gonna happen, okay?
And kept Valence boxed in against that hill.
And there you go. Spooky. Lost, go down. Fulcrus, the last tank alive in the Lorraine. Tries to play hero mode. Goes for the hero shot and gets it on Harmless. All right, I'll give him that. Come on, guys. TD mode's funny. And now we've got the MVP flip for Master Putin. Burnt Fungus in the back, and same with New. They're all covering his position, so that track shot, though. My Little Putin tracked in the open. This is important. Damage. And I don't think My Little Putin actually has a kit to repair, so he's pinned in his position. He's probably going to go down.
Getting the shot in there. He gets tracked again. I think Marsh will pick up the kill.
Yep. That's big. That actually gives Aquatic a chance. And there's the second one. Mr. Man, this is the S-Tank, the power of the S-Tank.
Remember what I was...
And another one.
We've talked about...
Not quite onto
We've talked about this before. Even when things are improbable, there's still certain things you can do to put things... to try to still get a win. Even though it's a low probability, you have to give yourself the greatest chance you can to win. And that's what M60s are doing right here. They're killing the clock. They're keeping tanks alive. The biggest thing is they need to find one solid reset right now. One solid reset, and they can certainly get the win. And Marsh is actually just going to YOLO out in the open to get the lights.
Where is it? Where is the tank?
The shots, and there come the shots. That's the reset. And that may have just secured the win for M60s.
That should be it. 2 tanks left alive. Bat Chat, Harmless
and that's another bad
Newt.
chat in the south. They just need to survive for one more minute. Newt tracked in the open, and he goes down. M60s are about to do it.
Although Harmless is to the south, he's in a great hold down, does not quite take down Veggie, puts a shell out, has 2 left, and goes for a reload. Okay, hit points, 1241. That's enough for if Harmless reloads and can get in close, he can get the kills, right?
He has exactly 10 seconds from the time he is loaded to kill both of these tanks.
So the amount of damage he has to deal, he has to get 3 shells probably into Mr. Man, 1 into Veggie. And he's just taken 407. Looks like he puts his turret up, saying GG. This was well played.
This is one of the most improbable wins I have seen all season.
Yeah, this should have gone into the favor of Dare, but I think moving My Little Putin out in the open and him getting caught out was the beginning of the end.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Gold League. I am James Rockstar Grieve, joined alongside by Randall Rookhill Holcomb.
Hey.
We just watched Aquatic M60s. I want to say just completely evaporate, Valent.
Dominated.
Ran over
5-1. Absolutely just devastated.
Just like a typhoon just rolling through.
Exactly. More water jokes for them. But let's get straight into this because I know our next match is just about ready. And that match is going to be Rival versus Top Tier. Now, before we get into the details of that, I want to talk about our Fantasy League Rockstar.
WGL.GG/fantasy. WGLNA. Get on there. Set your lineup. Prizes are weekly and for the season, including a Type 59 if you don't have one. That's one of the very few ways that you can get one. Remember, that Type 59, it's not available anywhere anymore. So this is one of the few opportunities you're going to have to get your hands on one. Also, myself, Randall, the rest of the staff here, Wargaming staff, all the Gold League players are on there. So get in there and see how you stack up against the rest of us.
And, of course, on Twitter, at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA, and Facebook, /WGLNA. And, of course, our question of the day today is, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be, what is your most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks? Now, we talked about that earlier. I could get into it, but not now. You'll have to check back on the VODs to find out what my most embarrassing and what Rox's most embarrassing moments are. Now, moving straight on from that, let's get into this match. We've got Rival versus Top Tier. Let's look at Rival's roster first. Let's talk about those first few players that we're going to be focusing on there. So, who are you watching for? Who's going to perform?
Well, Zach Coombs recently stepped back into the starting lineup after really being on bench for a lot of the season. He's been putting up some very good numbers. But then also Knight, who just joined this lineup. He's been very impressive in the few matches that he's played already.
All right, and then we'll move right on over to Top Tier, the team which is expected to come out ahead based on their standings and performance so far in the season. We're going to be looking, I think, a lot at Pompous. I believe at X-Soldier, should he be playing today, which it looks like he's not going to be on the lineup to start. Aghako, Zitz, Pompous, Delth, Muriel, La Cucaracha, and Rude Awakening will be on that starting lineup. We'll have to check in a little bit more on those details later on, but we're going to look next probably at their map lineup. So what maps did these guys pick? It looks like Murrow, Proc, Himmelsdorf, and Mines. So we'll be seeing how those go down, how these map picks interact, and here they are on the screen for you, showing Rival has chosen Murovanka, Top Tier has chosen Prohorovka, Rival chose Himmelsdorf, and by default the last map was Mines. Tiebreaker today, again, Himmelsdorf, which I think favors Rival a little bit, if I'm correct.
I would agree. Himmelsdorf, definitely not one of Rival's stronger maps this season. They're 1 for 4 on it, so they've been struggling, but they have pretty similar percentages across everything. Their offensive win rate is only 21% on the season, so they're definitely struggling to get things going on that side of it, and their defense is only marginally better.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they go, as we do have the face-off ready, both captains, representatives. Welcome to the broadcast, gentlemen. Let's start off, J-Smooth, Rude Awakening. I know you guys have gotten solid answers for this one. J-Smooth, what is your most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks?
You guys haven't been watching it the last 2 weeks?
Ouch! No! Dang!
Can't hide behind that, man.
Wow, okay, I'll take that. That's a good answer. Dang. All right, a little real, maybe. Oh, Rude Awakening. Rude Awakening. Can you top that? Can you top that with your most embarrassing moment in World of Tanks?
I mean, there's just so many, but there's always that time when you prepare your team so much for like a map, and then you're like thinking, okay, we're gonna have defense first, say on Himmelsdorf, and then we accidentally bring the wrong lineup, our offensive lineup instead of the defensive lineup on Himmelsdorf. That's happened before, so yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
Oh no, you go into the battle like, all right guys, we're gonna do Himmelsdorf attack, and then you don't realize you should have looked down and seen it was defense the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh no, that one's painful.
I think Rival actually did that last season. They brought their defensive lineup on Proc with a bunch of heavy tanks.
Why you got to bring that up? Why you got to bring that up? J-Smooth already just put it out there for
J-Smooth knows what it feels like.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, guys, let's get into this. Rival, this is your last match that you can win for round robin 1. If you guys don't win this one, it's gonna be rough for round robin 2. What are you guys doing right now? Are you guys able to turn it around? Is it finally working?
We're trying. Things just keep happening. I don't think we've ran the same lineup all year. Tonight, again, I got called in. I'm going to have to leave right after this, so I won't be in. It might help the team, actually. Pub will be back in. He's been out with work stuff. We got some connection issues. Hopefully those were fixed. So, and then players leaving, coolers coming in. So it's been rough, but we have no excuses. We're too much of a veteran team to be struggling like this, and we just got to do things better, cleaner, and put the time in. And it hasn't been happening.
All right, always what we expect from you, Jay Smith. Just keep on trying, but sometimes there's always that one team. Now,
Rude. So far this season, or at least the last couple of match days, Pompous has been almost a non-factor compared to how he has been last season and the early stages of this season. Are you guys going to do anything to directly try to support him or get him more involved than he has been?
I think Pompous plays a solid game. He just, he plays high risk, high reward. And honestly, as a team, it's not a single player that ever carries a team or loses it for the team. It's always a team effort. So for the last really few practices, we've really improved significantly. Our communication's gotten better. Our cohesion is better. Things are improving across the board. It's kind of been a roller coaster ride so far this season. And if we could just play like we practice, we should be very good.
All right, gentlemen. I know you're ready to get right into this battle, so I won't hold you any longer. Any final words, Jay Smooth?
No, we might be losing at tanks, but I know 4 of us are married and most have girlfriends, so hopefully we're winning at that aspect of life.
You got something else outside the game. Now, Rude, you got a chance for one reply before we let you go.
I'm married. I have a wife.
There we go.
A job, so
hot.
A lot of the guys I know on this team are actually quite successful, so it's
okay.
really good.
So they're married, you're married, everyone's married, having a great time. We'll see you guys on the battlefield.
Yeah, Exits is married. Yep.
See you in the danger zone.
Oh, yeah. I love that. It's like, I'm still winning even if, and then Rude comes back, yeah, but guess what? Half of our team is already hitched as well, so, Now
it just comes down to who can play tanks better.
Exactly. We'll see what happens as we're about to get into battle number 1. That's going to be on Muravanka. And, well, it looks like on defense, it's going to be top tier. So to start this one off, Rivals got to attack. This is huge for them. Attacking side means you set the tempo. Your defenders, you have a chance to do that as well. But it's really on the attacker's Rival to take a win early and set top tier on the back foot.
Top tier is sitting at a 54% win rate on defense so far this season. So that's respectable. Not great, not Apex level, but it's decent.
Yeah.
And their offense has been struggling, but still, when you look at Rivals' stats in comparison, well, they,
well,
it's kind of they're definitely, you could tell they're struggling, and it really reflects that in their stats.
And the thing is, you look at what Jay Smooth said in the face-off. He was talking about how his team has not been able to bring a consistent lineup. If you can't have consistent 7 starters all season, I don't care what you're doing in practice, you're probably going to struggle, especially against a team which is able to bring all 7 of those players to practice and then put that exact lineup in their starting lineup. That is right there a huge advantage. Just losing out on that, I've been a part of it, you've been a part of it, where you join a roster or you pick up a new player into your roster that is not your starting player, and they're not quite as in sync with everyone else, right?
Yep. No, I definitely agree. Keeping that same starting 7, that sort of cohesion, it makes you move a little bit faster, and it can be what you need to really, get the advantage over your opponent. Now, we'll have to see, though, if, even with the roster change, if Rival can still bring the game to top tier right now in our first map of the series.
Muravanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
And here we go into battle number 1. Rival, a Kronwagen 4 Batchats, an SGRV 103B, and Pub Whisper back in the RU 251. Top tier, on the other hand, Kronwagen, a Grill, 3 Batchats, a TVP, and an AMX 1390.
All right. Opening moves, though, from Rival are not super aggressive at all, actually. Unknown One holding rather far back. Pub Whisperer in the RU, taking his aggressive route down the 8 line, which is, well, Pub Whisperer is taking a very risky route, is what I should say, because as you can see, evidenced by him taking a lot of damage, getting tracked in the open, 766, he needs to take one more, and he will go down. Yes, Zitz gets that, and Rival is already down one huge scout in the opening run. High risk, high reward. That's what that was right there. What the route that that I saw Pub take in his opening run, it was completely blind up until the end. Of course, is also completely safe up until the end where he does a loop. And, well, top tier was ready and waiting. That's going to be the tier 8 scout down for Rival. And they're also down now by over 1,000 hit points. And, of course,
that's also just a gun out of the fight.
Well, yes, of course. Not even mentioning that part. Rival has got to figure out what they're going to do. They don't have a lot of options. They're disadvantaged. They're probably starting this one on the back foot knowing that this is going to be a rough series for them. They've had a rough time this entire season. And, well, top tier's in the driver's seat.
Looking around, not a whole lot of movement coming out of Rival, even though they're the attacking team right now. Just maybe hoping that top tier get impatient and make a rotation.
You know, sometimes that does work out. You slow it down. You hope your opponent decides to go for a move that is, shall we say, a little risky, or they assume. You could be hoping your opponent assumes you're going to be shifting around to another side of the map, decides to flex as a result. But without any intel, and with only about a minute and a half wasted, top tier can confidently sit where they are and just play their role. So Zakum's going to be moving up in the Kronwagen, going to try and poke out, see what he can see. And he possibly could start moving forward and put pressure on the cap. Now the position from Rival, if you look at the layout based on the mini-map currently, you'll notice that the bat chats are clustered in about, that is Delta and Echo 5 and 6. And in that position, the purpose is, when top tier reacts to the current position Zakum is moving into, now that he has just jumped on cap, that reaction is going to probably be a flank from the east by top tier tanks. The response Rival is hoping to make is send their 3 bat chats to deal a little damage onto those flankers. Now, what's important for Zakum to do is to not take almost any damage. But what he does not realize, Rox, and I think you've probably noticed this one already, is La Cucaracha Ciega.
Fixer Reloaded.
Exactly. Fixer Reloaded is his other name. He's a bat chat on top tier. And he is in a position where, once the time is right, he could just peek on out, and he's going to be able to put a shot or two into the side of Zakum and probably do that, make that reset happen. Now, he may be able to get that reset, but if Rival's strategy here works out, if it pays off, what we'll see is
Rude Awakening gets lit by Flack in the bat chat.
And he's out in the open, shots fired, 755, and there he goes. All right, that's a tier 8 pickup. Nicely done by Rival. That puts him back at an even placement. Hit points about even, slightly in the favor of top tier. But this is good. This is what Rival
I actually really like this out of Rival. Look at this. They have the cap pressure there. Now Zakum takes some damage unnecessarily from Fixer Reloaded.
That was Fixer's doing his job. That was Fixer's position. He was meant to be there to do that. Zakum took a lot of damage. You could say unnecessarily because maybe he could have backed down on the backside of the hill. But ultimately, that was the point.
But look at this. Zakum can be the cap pressure. This is what I like about it. Zakum's the cap pressure right now. And if you look at it, they've taken up positions all along the F line in all these buildings. So they're safe from the tanks south, or the tanks up on the hill on the 3 line, and they can cover any sort of push that happens onto Zach to get the resets. The thing they haven't accounted for is Fixer Reloaded in this bat chat over here. The only tank that's in position to stop him is this STRV 103B, or commonly known as the S-Tank, sitting back at C1.
Exactly. So once that happens, we'll see how it pans out. But we've gotten the one Rude Awakening pickup, and I think that's going to tell top tier not to move around to the east, right? They already know that there's a bunch of bat chats out to the east. Maybe we should go for a west side, take out Zakum, something else. But if Rival sits still too long, I think that gives top tier the advantage. They're going to be able to respond appropriately, put the Kronwagen in the correct position at least.
Yeah, they get the reset onto Zakum, only costs Fixer Reloaded 391. And now he's going to back down and not peek again and wait for another few minutes, another minute and a half to go on cap, and then poke out for a reset. And he can keep doing that until he dies and get another 2 or 3 resets if Rival don't punish him quickly enough. And that could just completely kill out the game from there on.
But the difficulty with this is I just looked at Commander J's POV, looked at Executus, looking at unknown one, they have to fire through a number of bushes in order to get the shot that they want. So it's very difficult for them to succeed in that regard. Now, I think the next person to focus on is actually the Kronvog and Alcako from the top tier. He's finally moved up into position. He may be able to peek around and get shots onto Zakum as well. And if he's able to do that, then there's another angle for reset, even if we see Ciega go down. But he is spotted. He's out in the open trying to back off. And he's looking to try and find that shell, not connecting.
Well, he connects, he just bounces.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Kronvog turret armor is extremely strong, and the Batchet fire at APCR is never going to pen it, at least from the front.
And Batchets don't bring HE. They just don't.
There's just not enough rounds carried by that tank to make it even worth it.
Oh.
And a good shot into there, and the cap pressure is actually being built up. And now they've brought a second tank onto cap. They're going to hide him behind Zakum.
That's the Kronvagen that we were talking about.
That's the reset, and now Zakum's scout out in the open. Is Fixer going to peek and get the reset? Or just not get the reset, but take him down?
He
misses the shot. He puts it into the building. That could have been Zakum dead. He's extremely fortunate there that Fixer Reloaded wasn't able to get in their shot into him.
That's possible, but the thing is, Ciega has taken a lot of damage. He knows that tanks from Rival are getting better and better at putting shots on target, and now a known one has moved up and is going to be ready for when that next peak happens. Now there's also 2 tanks on cap, another note. And, well, it depends on the response from top tier. Are they going to let this cap out? Are they going to try and find their response? And damage is starting to kind of find its way into top tier tanks, so you got to give it to Rival. They are putting the pressure on, and this is going to have to be the push right now. Top tier cannot wait another second. Akako's moving up and over, and he goes for it, gets the reset. All right,
and now
that
TP,
works.
and it looks like, they were about to push forward and just go for the jugular. They decided to back off, and actually it's Rival up on HP right now. They're doing a pretty good job at punishing top tier.
Top tier has had to lose a lot of hit points in order to make these resets.
Stealth's going to come in.
And that's going to be 3 on cap now. Zakum unknown.
They're going to push around. They're going to go for Delph.
Unknown, though, getting a little aggressive.
It's going to take a lot of damage. Now Zakum's going to come around, put his last shot in there. Executive's sitting there staring over at Fixer Reloaded, does get the kill, and now they're just going to keep rolling, and they have top tier on their back foot.
Yes, they do. One more shell, that's going to take down Delph. Zitz is also a one-shot. As Flat comes up, gets that kill. And now 3 tanks remain for top tier against the 5. The 2 of them very low. Now 4 of Rival. A few tanks on reload, but this is looking really good for Rival. It's a battle number 1. This could actually set a strong tempo for them.
Akako.
3 tanks now on
only
cap.
tank in position to get the resets. 10 seconds left.
Actually, Akako, is he reloaded in time? Is the question.
Zakum's reloaded. Akako's going to come around the corner. Zach's going to put a shot into his drive wheel. He's actually going to take a shot in return. Commander J's going to pull in front, try to simp for him. Commander J's just saying, shoot me, but Akako's going to shoot right past him and kill Zakum.
And actually, Knight's going to go down as well, as Miral's going to take him down. Looks like Akako and the Kronvagen goes down.
It's a 2v2. We have 2 Batchets up versus a Batchet and a Grill 15.
So this is very quickly turned on its head. Where we did a moment ago see Rival in an advantage.
Pompous takes a shot, gets a connection though onto Flak, puts him down to 91 HP, but Commander J picks up the kill.
And now Commander J is sitting on 1 shell. Flak is incredibly low on hit points, and it's going to be up to Maril.
And they can't cap anymore. Just enough time expired. They had to get on cap that second. Now it's going to be up to these Batchets to chase down Maril, and they don't know where he is.
They won't be able to do it. They don't have the damage either. Flak doesn't have the damage. Commander J's on reload. He's searching the wrong direction. Commander J is also the high hit point tank. So this should go to top tier. It would have to
barely
be
squeaked that game out.
Wow, that was so close to being in Rival's hands. And they barely lost it. Strong play, though. I got to give it to Rival. That was strong right up until the end. And I think that comes down to a lot of that experience, that team cohesion that Rival's been searching for and having trouble finding. Once they're able to do that, that looks like a play that in the future is going to work out just fine.
Merle's headed into the forest, drove away, and then said psych, turned north, going up to A0, and Rival, not even going to check it. They're going to drive straight south, assuming he's down there somewhere.
And nope, not going to find him.
Not going to find him. And that is going to be the first victory of the night to top tier.
Wow. All right, top tier just barely gets that one. That could be crushing for Rival because they had every reason to win that one. Their responses were correct. I loved it. You saw the Ciega, Fixer Reloaded is what he's known as normally, but he goes by that here in the league. He was in a great position to get resets, but Rival knew that. They had counterfire ready, and they put it out there. They were actually able to almost get the cap, forcing top tier to make incredibly risky plays to get the resets. And And it just really didn't quite pan out for Rival. Even after this, actually. After they lose their scout early on as well, they are able to then take it back. I liked the response from Rival. They're trapped. They knew what was coming.
I really liked the play out of Rival. I liked the idea, but they took too long to really get things kind of built up. They kind of slowed it down. They had one tank on cap. They let him get reset a couple of times, and then they moved more on. I think they could have sped the tempo up there a little bit.
A little bit. And it might have made the difference, actually.
And look at this. Like Hako in the heavy tank coming up big there with 100 defense points, ending up with 121 fantasy points in the first game of the night. And Fixer Reloaded also got a bunch of resets. He got 102 fantasy points just for that game, despite not doing a whole lot of damage. So not bad there out of top tier.
Yeah,
and
that works.
It goes without saying, but top tier actually have 4 players in the most fantasy point, top 25 of the most fantasy points so far this season. That's that's up there with Apex and Eclipse.
I'm actually being told right now that we have one more final update for our off-broadcast matches, which were pretty much blowouts. Apex versus Dare.
Chase Potato getting evaporated right there. Apex pushing in here, just going blow for blow. Got Emperor Brett getting caught out in the open by the 50B.
But it looks like Dare's just not able to hold up to Apex. As check on the scores, Apex takes that one 5-0. And also the update for Eclipse versus 07 Gaming. Eclipse wins 5-0 over 07 Gaming. So
I said this Thursday, and I'm going to say it again right now. Eclipse is saying Apex, M60s, anyone else in the league, we're on fire, we're ready to go, we're rolling full steam, and we're coming for that second place spot for the finals.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They were worrying me early in the season, but after a match against 07, that's not bad. But anyway, back to the match. Rockstar.
Looking at the lineups, Rival, an IS-7, 4 bat chats, a TVP, and an RU-251. Top tier, a Kronwagen, 4 bat chats, a Grill 15, and an M40-43.
Okay, so what do you think about this lineup? How's this going to go? Top tier's on attack. They've got the arty, slow play it, push the cap on the west side, and just hope for the best.
I like bringing the artillery as the attacker, but that also kind of signals to me that they're most likely going to go for a one-cap play. Bringing the artillery and going towards the 8-9 line was not unheard of. It's definitely difficult to pull off, so we'll have to see if they try to go for it. And Rude's actually just going to sit and spawn, essentially, at this point, in that artillery. Meanwhile, Rival setting up with a fairly standard 1-2 line defense at this point.
And
Pub Whisperer.
Early spot onto Pub. He's going to have to get out because those bat chats are just now getting loaded.
And I like this from Rival, taking map control. They spotted a couple tanks over in the forest, and they're just pushing straight on through the one cap. They're coming over here. They're hoping to catch maybe Delth out. And also, Rude is not even out of the fight yet. He's in the open. He could go down as well.
Actually, yeah, Delth is pretty far out there, but cover fire should be there.
But they're going to dive into the buildings, though. There's not going to be a lot of return fire. And Delth's actually going to go down here in a second. And Knight and Unknown One are just chasing him down. Knight goes for the ram, and now the trades come out for top tier. They put some shots into Knight.
Oh, and Rude gets spotted, too. The arty's going to be out. He should be out. There he goes.
All right, and now Rival just needs to pull back. They need to get out of there. Can Knight get out of there without going down?
Possibly. It's going to be thin.
That's going to be 2 tanks down for top tier.
Nice opening play. That's the aggressive play we need from Rival. That's the kind of stuff I like seeing from a defender. You don't have to sit back and let the attacker.
This is the Rival that we've been missing.
Yes.
The creative Rival, the Rival that does their homework, that makes these plays, that gets aggressive. This is what I like to see.
Yeah, and there is risk out there. Of course, they paid a lot of hit points in this. Knight's very, very low for it. But 2 tanks, 2 kills like that, and now
look at this. Now Zakum and the I-7 is going to come up here and get point blank versus these bat chats, and he's just going to be able to bully this corner.
Oh yeah, and he's a really solid IS-7 player too, so I would not doubt this is going to be he's going to make this difficult.
Now top tier are putting out some good damage. They do pick up Knight, but they're bouncing shots off Zakum's front plate left and right.
IS-7's a tricky tank. Don't doubt it. And the damage he's actually able to put out.
Pompous actually tracks Zakum for no damage.
Yeah, and now there's a lot of autoloaders wasting shells in Zakum. He's made himself worth it.
Now Zakum's going to come over. He's going to find exits. They're going to put shots into him. 882. Pompous does not end up getting the track shot on Executus. Takes him down.
Now all of these autoloaders should be on reload right now from top tier.
And these bat shots are coming in. They know it. They're going to go for Pompous first. Put the shots in there. Now Pompous does take Zakum, gets another kill.
Sure, finally he gets it. Sure, that's a bound to happen though after 3 or 4 minutes. So that's awesome for Rival right now. Top tier though, getting caught off guard by a huge margin.
Now can Rival close this out?
Because 3-on-3.
This was something that struggled them last season, was this sort of late game play, trying to close it out. Pub Whisperer stayed far too long. He's going to get isolated. Akako's going over the top. He might find another one coming around the corner. He's lining up the shot, and he takes him down. And now all of a sudden, it's a 3v1.
Oh, what in a moment! Rival looked amazing, but they did not play it tight enough on the counter push. When Top Tier wasted all of those shells on Rival tanks, well, specifically Zakum and the IS-7, when they wasted all of those shells,
when Rival pushed back in, I think they stopped their counter push too soon. I think they needed to carry that through. Zakum had the constant fire tank. They needed to push in. They needed to take more guns out of the fight. They may have taken some damage in the process, but I think it was more important to get these Batchets down and just say leave Akako with his Kronwagen. It has terrible DPM and he's slow. Yeah. If they had taken down the other two Batchets, kept that going, they may have been able to still win this. Now it's Flak versus Akako, Merle Shikta, and La Crucha Ciega.
Yeah, we'll have to see
La Cucaracha Ciega.
La Cucaracha Ciega. It's a very tricky name, isn't it?
Yeah, as is Merle Scarata.
I just call him Muriel.
Muriel.
One of those. You just call him that for short. You don't have to say the Scarata part. Generally, you can call people, like, you just listen to their comms and you'll hear the way they talk to each other, and that's how you have to shorten it. Because otherwise, these guys have these 3-syllable names. It's just impossible.
Well, that's why your nicknames just become Rue over the years. And
exactly.
People just call me Rocks half the time.
Yeah,
and now Flak gets caught out in the open. Kronwagen getting aggressive on that corner, gets the track shot.
That's a lot of track shots.
All 3 guns.
That was a lot of track shots. And he goes.
And that's going to be a 2-0 lead for Top Tier. But Rival, I like that. I like what I saw there. If only they could do that every time, they might actually start getting some nice positive results.
Just add the little bit, the finishing power, the focus at the end to finish the battle. I think that was what was missing. It felt like they made their play work, which is always the kind of the thing that works out for Rival. Early game aggression, early game, like just engaging your opponent precisely when you want to, and precisely when they don't. Got to give it to Rival. That was wonderful to see. However, I think there's a point to be made about the fact that Top Tier held on and stayed focused and were able to kill the proper tanks and then stay together and pull out that win. Muriel and Zitz, both Batchats putting themselves on the top of the board for damage. Unknown one in the Batchat, showing up and blowing up.
But Akako and the Kronwagen, 2,500 damage, 3 kills, and 86 fantasy points there. Pretty respectable.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Pompous, well, he had 2 kill shots there, only did 1,300 damage, 32 fantasy points. And after that, Rude Awakening, I don't even think he left spawn, so I'm not entirely sure how he got 7 fantasy points. Let alone any.
That's for being alive and possibly spotting?
Yeah, let's find out. Did he actually spot anything?
Did he spot anything? Find out if he spotted anything in the post game. What's
patrol duty and then 40, 43?
Bottom right.
There he is. Nope, you got nothing. He fired 1 shot.
Damage caused with player's assistance, 624.
So he did.
That's
okay,
spotting damage.
So he got spotting damage. He didn't actually spot any of the tanks first, though.
But he got spotting damage, and that's what's important. Remember, no matter what tank you're in, spotting damage is always important.
All right, so we're actually having some technical difficulties here with one of our admins, so it'll be just a second before we are underway. Now, Rival, that game, they showed some promise. They got aggressive. I like what we just saw on Muro. But now we're going on to Prokhorovka. Prokhorovka is a map that, Simple Tankers on pretty well over the years.
They've always had a strat which involves going directly up the middle and then engaging your opponent immediately. You send a few tanks over, you start a brawl while your opponent's on the way to the hill, and then you follow up with slower, higher DPM tanks who just constant fire into everything down below. If Rival pulls a strat like that this time on Proc, awesome. If they don't, and they go slow, play it more typically, I don't know if that's going to work out. But Proc is one of their stronger maps, especially being Rival is a longer-standing team. They used to be known as Simple Tankers back in the day, and so they've been playing this map and all of its iterations for about 4 years now. So if that kind of puts it in perspective, that's a long time to know a map like Proc.
742, 754, and now 768.
Yep.
That's quite an evolution they've had there almost.
Oh yeah, they know this map inside and out. You could probably ask Jay Smooth, and he could probably chronicle every strategy that's worked and hasn't worked, every typical move position that you would go for, and the way that's all changed throughout the years. That's the level to which these guys should be able to play Prokhorovka. However, when you change formats around, that changes everything. So everything they knew from 2 years ago and onwards is out the window almost.
Yep.
Everything from a little over a year and onwards is pretty much donezo, right? So That's gonna be it's tricky for them to find their way back in and find that rival strategy for the new meta.
When I hear Simp and Prokhorov cut together, it's not simple tankers I actually think of. I remember the first global grand finals between Simp Main and I want to say it was Lemming Train, I believe it was. It was during one of the first global grand finals, and Simp ended up using the 416 even though it was 742. And the game came down to like the last seconds where Crimson actually turned his tank around in the low ground and pointed towards the red line.
Yeah.
I was sitting there trying not to be spotted or found for the last 30 seconds.
I remember that one as well. This is
that was a long time ago, and that was such like the classics. Despite it being 742 and being a little bit slow, those games were just so tense. They came down to the wire, and you wanted Simp to do well because it was the first major international event.
Yeah.
Those are some good memories.
Those were good times. I can think back to so many series where I've seen Rival just amaze us every single time, and that's what you always expect out of them. And that's the tricky part because you've heard it before. You've heard it in the face-offs. It's rough to be Rival. It's always going to be rough. And the thing is, they're the ones who coined the term struggle bus. They're getting on the struggle bus on the highway to the danger zone. That's all they're about. They're always struggle bus. They've always somehow just had some instability, and it's strange because you see the lineup, you see the major players on the team, and there's always just that missed connection somewhere. And it's just tricky. It's always tricky because it baffles me. I can never find quite the answer.
Well, over their 4 years in the Gold League, they're a team that came in, did all right, got relegated, came in, stayed the next season, got relegated.
They're
the season
always
after.
good enough to be on the same level with everyone to be in the Gold League. Let's put it that way. They've never not been in the Gold League.
Yep. And then the first season of 768, 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
They started that season and they looked strong. They looked on fire. They had high voltage Cabalers they were constantly scrimming against. That's when Noble became a thing as well.
Yep.
And it was those three. It was Noble, then high voltage, and then Rival. And those were 3 powerhouses that season. And keep in mind, this is before Eclipse. Well, they were in the Gold League at that time. They were fairly weak. Actually, no, I take that back. That was when Eclipse was actually still down in silver, I think. I'd have to check on that one. My memory is escaping me here, but I think that's when Eclipse was still down in the Silver League. In fact, it was for sure.
Yeah, they're newer in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd have to check back on my history on that one.
Yeah, timing there is confusing me. But
move
anyways,
on that one. Move on.
Yeah, but looking at it though, they have the promise. They've done some. You've seen them over the years play really, really well. We've seen them with some very aggressive strats, borderline just full team YOLO strats. But it always works because they do it as a team. Their focus fire is good, and their coordination's there, and they put in the time to practice it. But then, this last season and then into this season, it's they've always been really slow. We only see little glimpses of that. Last season we saw a couple times where it really looked like they had done their homework. They made cool plays. It looked like they had really been they wanted to win almost. And it kind of just feels right now like there's a lack of desire almost in the team, a lack of just that fire and willingness to go for things, like a lack of confidence almost, I'd say.
I would say possibly, but that's a little bit tricky to say because the thing is for me is when I see the way Rival play, I see them playing and they're hungry and they're really focused on trying to get things done. But unfortunately, they just always seem to kind of have a missed connection. It's not that they, don't get it. It's that, well, they just somehow can't make A plus B equals C. It just doesn't, they just can't quite get to the end. They always get there, they can set up for it, but it's always something falls short. Or their opponent shows up in a big way. It's like everyone shows up and plays their absolute best against Rival is one of the things we used to say.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to, they're a team where they've been around long enough, they have the experience, they have the players, and so everyone knows not to underestimate them because they are a good enough team to capitalize on the mistakes.
Yes.
But the problem is when you get a reputation as being that team that's extremely solid, that does their homework. Everyone is prepared for you. They know they can't take you lightly, as opposed to being a team in the bottom half, like let's say Valence right now, to a certain extent. Not to pick on them, but teams go, well, it's just Valence. They kind of get that kind of feel to them, like, hey, they're struggling right now. That they don't really have everything together.
Yeah.
And so teams just kind of not necessarily brush them off, but just they don't do the same preparations they would for, say, if they're about to play Apex.
To be blunt, people don't take them as seriously when you're lower in the standards. Of course, you take a team like Apex, Eclipse, Aquatic a little bit more seriously when they're higher in the standards. They're performing better, and of course, the reason we have a round robin is to show that show the comparison between every single team. Everyone plays everyone twice in our league. So you get double results of Apex versus Eclipse. You get double results of 07 versus Aquatic. All of these little bits, you get an extra result, not just one round robin to figure out who goes to the finals, but twice. So yeah, these teams in first round robin that don't do so well, we might brush them off. But there's also the point to be made that you don't want to underestimate them when it goes to round robin 2, because that could be the point where teams get into a refreshed mental state, where you take a step back and realize, all right, this is the closing point of round robin 1. We as a team can feel like that is closure. We can let that be, wrap that up, put it in a box, put a bow on it even, and throw it in, the closet, whatever. Get rid of it. Round robin 2, moving forward, we know what we're about. We can put ourselves, start on a fresh foot. And we get to play a bunch of opponents that we've played before, yet one more time. So that's what Rival's going to be able to do following this match, but they could take that mentality going forward.
All right, well, we are actually going to take a quick break here and let you guys enjoy an RNG video while we kind of figure out what's holding up everything right now. We should be back momentarily.
Technical issue.
Technical issues, like we said, but stick around. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We are just about ready to get back underway, getting everyone back into the training room and everything ready to go. Now, we spent a good time talking about Rival, their history, all that sort of throwback.
Where they came from, their origin story, everything about their lives. We went into their tax returns, everything. We know everything about them.
So, our private investigator go through everything.
Exactly. So now let's talk about Top Tier. Top Tier is a team that has also been around for a little bit, but less consistently. They've been around with Rude Awakening and are known pretty much as Rude Awakening.
Well, and that was E63. We saw him play for Rival last season. He was originally on Top Tier along with Velatio.
Yep.
What other names am I forgetting?
E63, Velatio. Those are two big players to mention.
I mean,
those two alone are people that I could go on for quite some time about. Because E63... His username, by the way, is named after, I think, a BMW engine.
BMW, the car.
Yeah, exactly. It's specifically just the engine,
right.
The model number. So he has always been a phenomenal player, but gone. Rude Awakening has now got himself a new lineup, a new roster, full of pretty solid players as well. I got to look at Pompous, of course. Zitz, we know him very, very well. He's
Oghako has kind of come out of nowhere. He actually played with Toper Tier, I believe, during the. Was it Toper Tier?
Yeah,
he played Reason.
Yeah, Oghako was a player that also surprised me. I didn't know who he was. I wasn't familiar with him. And then all of a sudden he shows up and he starts doing some work. All right.
Actually, it wasn't Toper. It was just
what?
Top Tier that he played with. Sorry, it wasn't Toper Tier. It was Top Tier. He played with them in the qualifiers. He showed up, played very well through the qualifiers, and then now they're here. And so far into the season, he's been playing very well. He's definitely that key heavy tank player that teams need. To player they can pivot around. That can be the tank that goes in there and bullies. He plays the Kronwagen very well.
The same way Zakum does for the IS-7 for Rival, the way we saw exampled last battle, he is the exact same thing for Top Tier.
Yep. So we'll have to see if he can be effective as we head into our third round of the evening.
Prokhorovka, one of the first maps in the game. Teams start at the regular spawn points as they do in standard battles. Bases are separated from each other by the railway, so the defending team has to choose whether to send their vehicles to the left side, playing them in the centre, or to the right of the railway, occupying the hill and a part of the village. The attacking team usually attacks the first base. However, the teams often go for face-to-face confrontations, 7-on-7, in the hilly terrain at the centre. That's why both teams frequently use vehicles with good gun depression angles and sturdy turrets.
All right, Rockstar, talk to me. Take a look at these.
Rival, an IS-7, an E5, 3 bat chats, a 140, and an RU-251. Top Tier, an IS-7, 3 bat chats, an STV-1, a Grill 15, and an RU-251.
Okay, so with these lineups, no Artie. We're going to be seeing both players probably stack up with their IS-7s one against the other. Although Flak and the T110E5 does say that this is more mid-play for Rival than it is.
I agree. You got the E5 to work the ridges. You have the 140, which has some decent gun depression, but also has the consistent fire. And then you have Pub Whisper in the RU-251, and judging by the setup here, they're actually not going to go for any sort of mid-play. They're going to just go over towards the 1-2 line.
Looks like it, but look at the way Flak's moving. And that does kind of 1-2-3 line play, but you can kind of also look at that as a similar mirror to what you would see if it was more trackside, 5-6 line. And the opening scout run for Pub, nice aggressive little loop. He's going to get himself spotted, finds Rude Awakening, but he's going to be out of there before Rude is. And Rude's going to have to take a much less aggressive opening route, getting him a little bit less intel, but he is able to spot Flak, and that's important. So Flak getting spotted, is looking to try and get Rude on some kind of second
Exits,
run.
gets spotted, he spots Flak, puts a shot into his cupola.
Nice shot there, gotta respect that. So that's a little early damage. Just kind of knocks Rival in the face. And the IS-7 from Zakum. Now, what I didn't realize before is what we're going to be seeing from that IS-7 is something we've seen more often from the south, which is a bat chat will probably be pushing him forward when Rival decides they're going to push the 1-2 from north to south.
Well, and he's also sitting in a nice hole down up there where he's going to be really hard to dig out. So if Top Tier decide to push this 1-2 line, he's in a position where he can actually survive for a good little while.
Okay, well, let's figure out what Top Tier are up to, as we're going to take a listen in with their comms.
They have a bat there.
Yeah, so any more specific?
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, okay, they do have somebody over here. I got lit.
It could be the RU.
Let's see two
lit for long enough.
Oh fuck.
Say what?
Why did Observer double plus?
He's still listening in.
Okay.
Boy,
Also, I'm gonna watch the zero line. I'm gonna get on the zero line.
Hello,
okay?
Reddit.
Calm down, comrades.
Mural,
Oh, no.
careful, okay?
Yeah.
He's definitely in the low ground. The RU. He might be on the 2 line. He might be in the 2 line. Like how we do it, like on the D2.
Yeah, they're probably on the 2 line. They're probably on the 2 line.
I can't blind for anymore.
Can I get the STB to be coming over on this divisor here?
I don't really know what I can do over here.
Okay, then never mind. Just stay where you are. Let's get the I-7 over here then. I want I-7 and STB to be peeking a little bit more aggressively, see what you guys are spotting.
No,
Miral,
we don't have like any information right now.
I want me to come up there with you, or?
Not yet. Let me just see. Just cover me from there. I'm gonna do a little loop through here. See if I'm getting lit.
They probably have a batch on the on C8 or the RU. I doubt the RU rotated all the way to the 1-2 line.
Okay, hold on.
Breathing intensifies.
They don't have anybody here, I don't think. I'm not getting lit. So Miro, let's get you up here. Okay, let's get you up here. We have 7 minutes.
You want to rotate the grill and bat out?
No.
I'll just wait a little.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Sure about that?
I'm gonna get Middle to cover me. I7 is playing aggressively here. STB is playing aggressively here. We're gonna see if they're gonna rush in over here. If the I7 is not lit, he's probably on the 1-2 line.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, right? So if the I7 is on the 1-2 line, can we get one more bat? This bat, just fall back here, so we have 2 people in the back farming.
Yeah, really good fixing it.
And then this guy, you're gonna cover me. I'm gonna work the 0 line. They have a ruse, so maybe I'm gonna try to get this A0 lit. That's gonna be about 5.5 minutes left. By the time we have 5.5 minutes left, I'm gonna start working up this way. If we have this cleared, I'm gonna.
40? Is it 140?
140. Okay. So cover me, Rero, okay? So by about 4.5 minutes, we would have cleared, checked the map to about a quarter of its size. If I light half their team here, guys, you guys have to on the 1-2-3 line, have to play aggressive, okay?
Yeah, on Preems and on Reels.
Okay, we have 5 people.
Mind Reader. Rude Awakening just guessed what the entire strat of Rival was. He's like, that ISM is probably on the 1-2 line. Cool.
RU hasn't been spotted for a while, probably up at A0.
Boom, A0. He's right there. Just perfect call. So credit to Rude for just reading the entire strat. And then, by the way, deciding, yeah, I feel like I know this. Let's do this. I have 0 actual intel. Well, he has some intel, of course.
A little bit.
But he doesn't have enough hard intel to know that that's actually true. And now Pub Whisperer gets shot. Shots fired, coming on
out of the bush. He's just going to dump up and over into Rude.
Gets closer.
Try to get the shots, but he's going to drive into the bat chat. He's going to try to get into the low ground, maybe keep himself alive, and Rude's actually just going to jump off the cliff.
He's going to try and delay. He's playing the delay game. And he knows he's going down, but
Rude,
he made it
last.
last.
Great shot there.
He made it last.
Now they have control of the 0 line. They can start the cap pressure. However, 3 bat shots have pushed over towards A6.
And this is going to prompt a response. So remember what Top Tier was talking about. They're going to be getting ready to respond to whatever it is that Rival's going to go for, because they know there's something happening. However, note that Rival is trying to not overreact to losing Pub Whisper. And because of that, actually, that's probably mostly due to the fact that Alhako and Zitz are playing aggressively in the middle. They're going to be taking damage, but the fact that they're showing their faces, the fact that they're just kind of being aggressive, is going to force Rival to think for an extra second or two whether or not, okay, do we really want to rotate out of our positions, or are we just going to get completely obliterated trying to do something like that? On top of it, Zitz is doing a phenomenal job against Flak. The Empire State hatch of the T110 is not his best friend.
It's getting some changes in the next patch as well.
It's actually getting nerfed a little bit, right?
Yeah, won't be as strong, and actually, RU of Rude puts a shot into the side of Flak from distance there.
Nice.
Zitz pokes out a little bit too far, takes another shot, so Rival trading this back. They're still down by about 1,000.
Not bad. And at the same time, we've got Zakum from Rival finally moving up and forward. I think they're going to try and pull their T110 out of the middle and get rid of him, because he's just not in a good place. The support from Rival is not there. And without that support, he's just going to go down for free. And while you are the defender, 3 minutes, 30 seconds left, there needs to be a strong response. And here it is. Now that we've gotten the IS-7 pulled out of the northwest, Zakum is where he is. That's going to prompt the Grill, Delph, and Lukukarach Siega to move up the 1-2. Not a bad play from Top Tier. We're going to have to see if this is going to work out, though.
They're going to push down Unknown One. Executus. And it looks like
doesn't need to flip himself over. That's the one thing that's worrying me.
They're just pushing down, and I don't think they realize they're overmatched. This is basically a 3v2. Executus is going to get caught out in that 140. They need to keep him alive. He's the consistent fire. Unknown One pulling forward to Simp. Now they're going to start shooting him. But now, from behind, and good focus fire, the Grill taking the connection there onto Unknown One. And the return fire, look at this, not really returning anything at all onto these bat chats. Rival just lost a lot of HP and didn't really return anything onto these bat chats.
How could they have even hoped to? I mean, seriously, against bat chat element surprise like that, they really didn't have that much time to respond, especially since they'd been focused on firing against other opponents. Nice shot from Executus. He's able to take out Zitz. Now Zakum moving in, should be able to get the finishing shot onto Delph in a moment. And Top Tier, even with an aggressive play, is having to work for it against Rival. However, Rival are at a serious disadvantage. 1,970 should be over.
Yep, Zakum not giving up on it yet, puts a shot into Pompous.
Zakum goes down. Executus and Knight are the last ones alive.
And they're just going to box in these tanks in the bottom corner. Executus has no HP essentially at this point.
Knight's just about to reload. And just in time to reload, he's going to be found. And that'll be it.
That's going to be 3-0 in favor of top tier.
Well, top tier is really showing it, and I think that those comms could not have been more perfect. It was like, you notice how the players, we've started notifying players when they're getting listened into, and they noticed. So at first it was a little bit of silliness. The guys in top tier can be fun. And immediately, once Rude kind of shook it off, the rest of his team being silly, I liked seeing for a moment that he just showed us a masterclass in how to read your opponent and then how to explain that to your team. He broke down for everyone on his team exactly what he was thinking, exactly what he thought the opponent was doing, to the level that they could all put the pieces together, and he didn't have to fill in any more blanks. Well, everyone knew exactly what was going to happen.
Well, and what that does as a caller, what you do is you paint the picture for the rest of the team, so the rest of the team understands what you're thinking and what you're going for when you want to execute. He sat there, he broke down, this is what I believe they're doing, this is what I want to do if this is the case. And what that does is that allows the caller to actually take a step back once the battle starts, because then he can rely on everyone on the team knowing what they need to do, what the game plan is, and to be able to make those decisions for themselves.
And furthermore, if your players aren't aware of exactly what they need to do as a response to any particular situation, if they're not at least told about that ahead of time, how can you expect them to react as quickly as you would like them to with the proper response when that finally comes around, right? It's like, if I didn't tell you that we were going to go into battle in just a few seconds, then you would be far less prepared than when we finally go in, because we're just now going to start the 60
And he even outlined with a timeline as well. He said, look, at the 5.5 minute mark, this is going to be done. If it's not, we're probably done anyways. All right, then we'll go into the next phase, and had it all laid out by timestamps exactly what needs to be happening when. And once again, that just comes down to a good caller planning ahead of time, saying, look, guys, this is what we're doing. This is my thought process. All right, now go execute it. And then once again, that makes it so Rude can just let his players play. He can let them make decisions for themselves, put themselves in good positions, as long as they understand what needs to be accomplished.
Yes, and there's another thing that he brought up about time management, which we don't actually talk about quite that much on the broadcast, and that's managing how much time it's going to take for you to execute a single maneuver. In order for you to take the Northwest on proc, is that going to waste 3 minutes of your team's time that they're going to have to worry about doing other things? Or is that going to be 4 minutes? The difference is that important. And if you're not thinking ahead like that, you're going to find yourself out of time, like we've seen so many other matches.
And it comes back down earlier, the first match, when they were running that attack on Muravanka. It came down to time management. They couldn't chase down that last Batchat because they ran out of time. And once again, if they had sped up their attack, gotten cap pressure going early, forced that engagement sooner, they may have had more time to clean that up, because overall they played their brawls really well. But at the end of the day, they just ran out of time to chase down that last tank.
Exactly.
As we head into battle number 4, Rival and IS-4, 3 Batchets, 2 140s, and an RU-251. Top tier, an IS-7, 3 Batchets, an STB, an STRV-103B, and an RU-251.
All right, so what are you going to expect out of these lineups? Because the Object 140s, 2 of them, says a lot more mid-play maybe from Rival. Or, actually, wait.
Raw aggression, trying to beat up on Batchats while they're reloading.
Could this be... It's not going to be the down the middle, is it? That's not possible. Because it's similar
going
enough.
Off towards the one line.
Yeah.
But they're going to go for some early damage. 140s are going right for the middle. What they're going to do is they're going to get up here, they're going to peek, and they're going to try to get off 2 or 3 shots on these tanks as they rotate out and maybe get some early damage, and then they'll back down. They're not going to commit. They're not going to do classic Rival, but they're going to do an iteration of it.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Rude Awakening goes up and over, doesn't go around the rock, decides to keep it a short loop, and actually, Flak got close enough that he was not spotted, I think. And so, yeah, he didn't spot Flak. He did not realize he was so close to the mid. If Flak stays hidden, he might actually be able to get some surprise damage onto tanks from top tier. But Delth, he's chilling out in the mid in his STB. He should be just fine.
And what I like from Rival is once they got those 140s spotted, they called off going over because they knew the rest of these guns would be staring at that ridge, waiting for those tanks to peek up and over.
Exactly. Now, early on in this one, you're seeing Pub Whisperers off in the east. He's gotten a very early jump on the position that is actually being spotted out by Rude Awakening. So just opposite of Pub, there is a tank just there, waiting to spot him. So if either of them aggresses too much on the east side, I expect that they'll take a little damage for it. And there, Pub moves around. So what we saw from top tier last time, at about 7-minute mark, 8 minutes and 30 seconds, Rivals getting faster. They're responding faster, their tempo is going, and they're clearing the northeast faster than top tier did last battle. It's a note to make, because once they get past this point in the battle, oh no, and Rude is actually moving out to that side of the map as well, and I don't think he realizes that Pub is up there. So Pub, depending on how he plays the position, I'm waiting for it. I want to see if Pub gets the spotting, and he does. Rude spotted. He knows he needs to bail. They both trade. No damage dealt though, and they're
now it's going to be up to the bat chat of Executus to get up here and help flak out and get Rude Awakening down. But
I don't think Executus actually has shots on that position. Rude Awakening is in a little defilade where there's just enough of a hill that Executus from the hill cannot fire on that tank. So Rude chose a very good position, a very safe position to kind of hunker down.
Looks like Rude's actually going to try to leave now. He got unspotted. He knew Pub that backed off.
And Pub's moving around actually back into his old position, where he's going to try and cover the escaping position from Rude. Little does he know, there he is. He actually doesn't spot him at all. You can see that Rude is just escaping up and over the tracks. Pub has no idea where he is, because Rude, at the exact right moment, moved across the river. Had he not moved across the river exactly when he did, as soon as he did, he would have been taking damage. That is not the case now. So, solid play by Rude, very sneaky against Pub, who's, by the way, no joke as a scout.
And Executus is actually creeping up on the riverbed, trying to get underneath Rude Awakening, but they don't realize that he's actually backed out and gone to a new position. As I say that, Rude does light Executus, and now Rude's just going to back away.
Yeah. He's going to be able to leave. He knows it's not safe to stay here. The cover fire does exist, but it's not that strong. And Zakum, oh no, takes 1,232. Rivals' chances for a successful attack are starting to slip away if they cannot find some proper response. Zakum's lost his driver, and the IS-7's already a tank that needs as much as it can get as far as help for mobility. And
what they need to do right now is they need to get some cap pressure going. The tanks are in a good position because what they can do is they can bait tanks having to come back to reset that 2 cap. And when they do that, they can get aggressive with these tanks on the other side of the map.
Top tier recognizes that though. Look at them. They're grouped up. All these bat chats. Look at the bat chats. There's so many bat chats. And Pompous in the S-tank. They're moving forward at the same time. You've got cover from the bat chats in the back. Commander J is lit. Unknown One is going to have to escape as well. And in a moment, you're going to have top tier with east side control. Yes, that's going to force Rival into the east side of the map. But I'm guessing, or my assumption is that Rival's going to be taking damage as they try to escape.
And goodbye, Commander J, because Pompous is going to come over here. He actually hasn't spotted Commander J yet. Commander J just hugging the red line, and Pompous actually before. Now he's spotted. And now all these bat chats are going to have shots. Going to start pumping out shots. Pompous putting one. 1,200. 1,600, and there goes a tank.
Rest in pepperonis. All right, that is a strong play by top tier. They are attacking right at the moment when Rival was preparing to do something about it. And yes, there is the cap pressure. 3 tanks currently sit on cap, and it's going to be a lot for top tier to actually make
this is going to come down to the Unknown One. Unknown One has to run the screen like a boss. He needs to stop them from getting through. He's going to block Akako. Now he needs to block Zitz. Zitz is going to go for the ram. And now Hako's just going to push straight through.
One shell.
No reset. No reset. They couldn't get the lights.
And
that's the cap.
That should be it.
That's it.
Well played. All right.
Talk about pulling one out by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, there was only a moment in there where Rival had enough time to get the tanks on cap necessary to get the win. And barely made it. Solid play by Rival. Good screening, I think, was what that was due to. Without
and I even like Akako's play there in the heavy tank, saying, "You're a bat chat. I have an IS-7. I can just drive through you."
Yeah.
And so he just straight on in, pushed him out of the way. Zitz came around. The problem was that it was just a little bit too late. I think Akako was too worried about going down. I think he just needed to commit, made sure he got the lights and reset, even if it cost him his life. Because what happens is they get capped out like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're alive or dead. Your team's lost, and everything after that doesn't matter.
What else is important about that is the moment that top tier decided to go for their attack, which was right down the 1-2 line. When they go for that, the risk is that your opponent will then go for a fast cap. Now, the risk that they're taking is they're hoping, okay, rival hopefully is not prepared to fast cap right now. Hopefully what they're doing is they're preparing to make some kind of move so that they can go for the cap. And we're hopefully going to catch them off guard.
Or there's also the opportunity that they're hoping that, or they know that that cap is inevitably coming.
Yes.
They need to find some sort of isolation quick, but if they do it soon enough, they can get back to stop the cap in time, and that's why I think that triggered when they did.
Exactly, and when you go for that, your opponent, who is, instead of going and trying to set up for that, is now being told, oh, we can just go for the fast cap. And if they're fast enough, like Rival was, because Rival seemed to be really up on it, their focus was there. Once you see that, get on the cap, go for the fast cap, get it, you're good.
Yeah, well, for those that have played Clan Wars and Strongholds, they know what a cap race is essentially, where both teams are fighting for the cap, trying to get cap pressure going, and just either trying to stop the other team from capping or cap out first, get a reset or two.
Yes.
And this was essentially the same thing, except because only one team has to attack. What it came down to is instead of being both teams having to cap, it's one team having to go get the kills on one side of that map and then stop the cap on the other end.
It's two teams simultaneously fighting for one
objective. They're just slightly different in this case.
It's win conditions colliding, and well, Rival was just a moment ahead. They had the advantage in that situation. They made the right choice at the right time. Top tier made an excellent play. Could have worked out, but against a team like Rival, looks like not this time.
Now we're going to be moving on to Himmelsdorf, a heavy map. A map where I think Rival might have a bit better of a shot than we've seen so far.
I don't know. With top tier, I'd expect that the way that they're practicing, they've probably shored up a little bit more Himmelsdorf. If I look at my map picking sheet, I can see that it was Himmelsdorf chosen by Rival. So yes, Rival intended to go to Himmelsdorf at this time instead of going to Mines. In map picking, there's going to be, you ban 4 maps, right? Get rid of 4. Then
After the first 2 are picked, then it comes down to 2 left, and then it's, whoever team has that pick, they get to decide between essentially the last 2 maps. Now, they did influence it already by having the bans before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, these maps, they obviously feel somewhat comfortable on, or they wouldn't have made it this far into the map pool.
Precisely.
But at this point, it was Rival saying, look, this is going to be a better opportunity for us than Mines, and they've really struggled on Mines so far this season. They've had some pretty bad games on it so far earlier in the season, and even just last Thursday.
But we're about to see how Rival and Top Tier square off on Himmelsdorf. For the lineups, Rockstar, what do you think?
Rival, 2 113s, 250Bs, an I7, a Batshot, and a 1390. A lot of high DPM out of those 113s. Burst coming out of the 50Bs. Batshot's going to be able to open up the rest of the map. Then Top Tier, who are defending, coming in with 250Bs, an E100, an IS-4, a Batshot, a 4005 Stage 2, and a 1390. So Pomp is playing his signature Tank Destroyer. It's very rare we don't see him in one. Batshot, the IS-4, tank that can play the Clock Tower, the hold down at A4, something along those lines, be really hard to kill. E100, tank that's just made there, just sit in one spot and pump out a decent amount of damage anytime someone peeks it. You have to remember, though, the E100's DPM is fairly low, so it's not a tank you want in a consistent brawl. You want to have it play corner games where it can get into cover, back out, get a shot off, and pull forward. It's like 750 a shot. It's nothing to slouch at.
Exactly. So Top Tier is going to be looking to slow this one down and use their E100, their IS-4, or if they have to go fast, they've got the 50Bs ready to go. They have the FV4005 ready to go to just derp something. So one way or another, it could get dangerous.
And
oh, hey, what's this?
This looks like a little bit of a trap set by Rival. Now, it looks like they're going to go ahead and abandon it, but they're sitting here waiting for some sort of aggressive 1-2 line, maybe an early rotate out of Top Tier. Clearly just sitting here, just waiting. And I feel bad for whoever finds these 4 tanks, because that's pretty much instant death.
Yeah, and look at that, a little damage from Executus onto Rude Awakening. Not bad. And also they spotted the E100. So right now, Rival's going back to old school tactics. Saw that southeast play? That's something I haven't seen for a while. That's been years.
Yep. And then the 50Bs that are over here on the 8 line, they are isolated. Now, this is a strat designed to try to catch people out. They're sitting far enough back that anyone coming down the 8 line will not proc spot them. They will not be spotted until a tank actually comes around that corner. And hopefully they can use these 2 autoloaders. You've got to remember that's 1,600 damage in each clip. 2 of them, that's 3,200 damage. Between these 2, they can clean out a tank in a little under 8 seconds.
Okay. So we just have to see if they
now the problem
find anything.
The problem is now that they're 50Bs and they're isolated. Say a push does come out of the 8 line, if all let's say 6 or 7 tanks comes out for Rival up that 8 line, There aren't a whole lot of tanks in position to cover them. They have no eyes. They have no early warning. So that could be these 250Bs that gets pincered out early and take a lot of damage and go down before they can be effectively traded out.
Or there's one play which is, it's a little strange to kind of suggest, but those 50Bs, you run into a tank, and if you recognize that there are tanks coming from, coming from both the east and the west of that position, you can actually decide, okay, if I know I'm going to get pinched in 50Bs, it actually is more worth it in some situations to pick a direction and go with your 50Bs. Just focus on tanks, move forward, kill the things in front of you. The guys behind you are going to have to play catch up. And if they do, the more distance I have to make them travel, the more inconvenient it is for my opponent to put shots on me, is 50Bs, the more likely I am to survive.
And that comes to any time you're surrounded. Is any time there are tanks on multiple sides of you, you just need to group up, pick a direction, and go. If you're surrounded, you're already in a bad spot. You're already in a world of hurt.
Exactly.
So there is no harm in grouping up and just pushing one direction and trying to find an isolation. Get all the tanks on one side of you. Make it so you can angle your armor towards one direction instead of multiple directions. Look at these 50Bs just goofing around at this point.
I know, that's what you do. You gotta find some way of staying entertained. Just gotta dance. Dance tanks. Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, we had a moment. It's over. Thank you, top tier. I love how they just kind of like stopped as if they're like, yeah, I think we're good now. I think that was enough.
Earl Shikta just chilling out in the train station. Pub Whisper's pushed all the way up to one line, and it looks like for the second time tonight, we're actually going to see a 1-2 line play out of the attacking team.
All right, that's one way to do it. Holding back so you don't waste a lot of damage or you don't put shots out. Rude not taking the damage that could have just destroyed his tank. And from way down south, are those 50Bs, Commander J and Knight, going to be able to put shots onto Rude? No.
Rude's not going to peek out. He knows he's still lit. He knows there's a gun back there. Pompous putting 774 into Unknown One. Heschel not penetrating, but still doing some damage.
All right, and we're going to take a listen in with Rival because they're just about to attack. Let's see what they're going for.
Let's not get shot by him.
No,
That's
the Hondo hasn't flexed yet.
Can the 90 get on Cap, maybe?
The 4005 is going to splash him, but look what they've done. They're all over here now. Can we just go over here?
Yeah.
Like, keep the 90 there, but otherwise just cut this map in half some more and get... Exactly, you... Oh,
50B?
Oh,
Both of them?
that's what we were missing.
First bad.
Trying to bait their clips right now.
To do that.
All right, they're backing
50Bs
up.
come on this... They're probably going to weave, but...
Unknown, what was that call?
Come down, try to... They're just weaving, so you can just hold here. And we'll try to pinch to this.
Pompous is staying. The bat has not.
If anything, as long as we have watching on this crossing, right, we can take our IS-7 and 50Bs and we can just kill this.
Yeah.
Because everything else is over here.
The bat and 4005 are still there. They haven't left.
Yeah, let's do that. We have 5 minutes, so we need to do something.
Yeah.
Yep, we're on it.
Good.
Okay, the bat chat, just be ready to find an opening when the E100's not looking. Exactly.
E100's, I think, is mostly looking 5 line.
Well, I gotta get back up the hill, because I don't know where the 50Bs win.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fine, I'm with the face.
Bat is still here.
4005 is still there.
How far do we want to push this?
Push this corner and engage the E100 if you don't find anything.
Okay, now the...
And the bat needs to
Okay, exactly. You need to come down.
Yeah.
They might be here, so that's just something to keep in mind. Zach, we need to get ready. We're going to push this 5 line to help. Okay, there we go. So if Zach can get the flank.
Poking E100 right now.
Let's go. Zach.
4005 still
shot.
I think we should be able to get the E100 out, me and Zach.
I should be able to do it.
Bat's coming behind. 4005 coming.
Tracked.
We watch that lane. Watch that lane.
Nice.
Okay, can we get the 50Bs now? Zach, what's
Delta just fired 1.
Because we're going to get
2 out of Delta.
Okay, let's get to that other cubby behind us. Alright. We might just have to go forward.
Bat's coming behind you. He's fired 2.
Shot on his cross 50Bs. Be very careful.
I'm reloading.
Pump his shot.
IS-4 shot.
IS-4.
4, IS-4.
Bat's coming behind you. Bat's coming behind you guys.
I'll have
one
kill
shot
on IS-4.
Bat's down 1.
I have 6 50
I'm
Bs.
reloading for 8 seconds.
I have 6. You guys want to take the hits for me?
I need help with Delph, if anybody can. Delph is
I
low
have
HP.
8 seconds. 1390 coming in.
I like the read there from Rival, but
the response,
a little bit too slow.
The response from top tier is top notch. So Commander J is going to move out, find Delth, goes for having to put 2 shells into him, and that's going to hurt. As the response from Pompous, he might be reloaded just now, just in time to get a kill shot. Looks like Commander J smartly puts himself into a wall though to avoid this, but will it be enough? No, it won't. Pompous gets the kill. Just behind him, Executus and Knight struggle against the remaining tanks of top tier. And with Muriel at full health, he should be able to roll up and just take care of the situation. There he goes, first onto Executus. Should be able to focus and take down Knight. And that's it, solid play. 4 on the board for top tier, match point up next.
The response and how slow that was out of Rival, that's something that I think they definitely could have done better once they spotted those 50Bs, because you heard the information there. They knew it. It wasn't that we had an outside perspective and we could see everything. You could hear them saying what they knew. They knew that 4005 was over there. They knew the Batchat was over there. They knew the 1390 was over there. They knew they had 3 tanks isolated.
Yes.
The second those 50Bs were spotted on that 8 line, the 113s held the 5 line. They just stayed there. They made sure they didn't rotate out. And then you still, after they spotted those tanks, you still had people asking, what's the call, what's the decision? And it took another minute and a half to get tanks all the way from the south, all the way up into position to get those isolations.
And if you look at that and you contrast that with what we heard earlier from top tier and Rude, you hear how clear and concise and direct that his direction was to his team. And it provides a perfect example in the situation where Unknown is calling right now, and I don't know Unknown one to be the veteran caller for Rival, but I'll have to kind of check.
He has been calling since last season.
He's been calling, but he's not always been the rival captain. So it hadn't occurred to me actually until just now that he's probably not going to call in a style that's traditionally simple tankers. So that when we've talked about those old school strats, we're kind of asking for something that that's not really a part of Unknown One's playbook as much as it was back in the day, so to speak. But you heard how absolutely clear and concise and authoritative Rude's call was for top tier on Prohorovka. And then on Himmelsdorf, like you were saying, there was a call. It did appear as though it was kind of coming together, but also I wasn't feeling it as much as I was with top tier.
Yeah, and looking at it, once again, I think there should have been more pressure put on those 50Bs, knowing that they were isolated. You could have had the 113s just push straight off, go into the 5 line, go chase them down. At the same time, you have the Batchats coming around, and then you use the tanks in the south to cut off the 5 line. You have them swap positions, because that isolation on the 50Bs was their one chance to get a couple tanks down for free. Instead, they let them reposition and stay in the fight instead of potentially having an overmatch somewhere, which, once again, I'm not saying this is perfect, still a risk, but I'd rather go for an overmatch somewhere than try to take an even fight later.
All right, now Rox, I'll take this because you just finished up on that big old spiel. I'll take the tank lineup. 113s, 2 of them, 3 50Bs, a Batchat, and an RU-251 for Rival. Top tier will be playing a 113, 2 50Bs, IS-7 Batchat, FV-4005, and an AMX Chasseur.
CDC.
I don't actually know how to say the last bit. I can't say it. I'm just not going to try it. CDC.
So lineups. You did this to me last game. I'm going to do it to you. Lineups. What do you see right now? What are they going for?
All right, Rox. I feel like top tier's going to turn a CDC over on its side and put it on cap.
Why?
Why not, dude? That tank's amazing for blocking cap. And it's also nice and wide, so if you turn it sideways, upside down, it doesn't matter. It's the greatest cap blocker there ever was. Rifle, on the other hand, who cares about predictions? I'm hoping this goes straight down the 8 line and just goes all the way into enemy territory. I really hope it does, because aggressive opening moves from Rival have a tendency to pay off for some reason. And also, it's kind of funny to watch a bunch of tanks just sitting in a little line like this, all stacked up. Actually, that's not a bad stack. You've got Sakum's got a shot, Flack's got a shot, Knight's got a shot forward, and then you've got an Unknown one who actually I think can sneak one right over Flack's turret, and then Commander J will have the late shots for those who try to move on by, but he can just kind of move on out, and he's got shots. He can move back and hide behind the 113s. that depends heavily on tanks coming through exactly that courtyard. Unfortunately, there's no one near that courtyard at all. There are people up on this hill. That's Muriel. Hi, Muriel. And then Zitz. But they won't be going to the courtyard. So Rifle's probably going to figure out the next thing they're going to do in just a minute. But in the meantime, Top Tier's going to be wondering, where are all of those rival tanks? Where did they go, Rockstar? Where are all of the rival tanks? That's what Top Tier's
Look at the spot out of Pub Whisper. He has clear eyes down over towards the 8 line. And if he gets spotted from behind or someone pops up on the 1-2 line, he can just take a hard right, drop into the low ground, and be fine. So great position there. Going to have the intel that they need for that ambush, and he's relatively safe.
And at the same time, he can spot and give a little early intel to tell the rest of his rival battle buddies that, yes, Top Tier is on the way. It's
The Batchat of Muriel is going to drop off the hill and come over down towards the K line, towards that 1 cap.
Nice. We'll have to see where this goes. Because in just a moment, well, someone's hopefully going to make the move. And with this west side play, though, from Top Tier, the adjustment, which, okay, CDC makes more sense now. West side, best side. AMX CDC blocks the cap. Throw a Batchat, probably, right behind it.
Or the IS-7 in this case.
Much.
He's just going to turn sideways, and Akako's going to come and hold down off him.
That works perfectly. And now, battle buddies for life, Akako and Rude Awakening. They'll just cap this one out. Let's take a minute to listen into the response of Top Tier. That's about to have to defend this cap fast.
The RU must have gone around. I got lit.
Exits. Watch the 0. Watch the 0. That's
just sitting in the window.
I was doing that.
Yeah,
there's a bat in the back.
We got the bat. No wait, that one didn't like me.
Just make sure your emerald is.
Oh,
there is. FE. I7. Can you return?
Yeah.
Shh. Watch our back. Watch our backs. Watch our backs. Guys, just let's get crossfires in on this. Get crossfires in on this.
They coming for me? Yeah, they actually are.
Pompous, can you hit unknown one?
They're coming for me.
Can you hit unknown one?
Yes, I can. Oh no, I'm dead. There's a 50 behind me.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna engage that.
Yeah, this didn't work. It's okay.
How did they get all the way there?
How did they get that far forward without getting lit?
I don't know.
I shouldn't have really been watching 0 line.
Okay, yeah.
I think I should have been poking mid.
Like that was like they were here by the time they got.
I thought the 113
That's
from
way
here
too
was
fucking
close. That's okay. That's okay.
I can't light them when they go 8 line.
No, yeah.
No, they went through here, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here just. They're not spotted, Randall. They're not spotted yet. Why aren't they spotted?
A blind spot. That was
huge blind spot.
That was like an X-wing taking down a Death Star, right there. They
that's
like found the one
semi-truck
tiny little hole in that defense, and they just busted right on through.
That more felt like a big rig on the highway with no side view mirrors and just sitting in the blind spot the whole time.
That's a great way to save on gas.
Sitting behind a big rig?
Yeah, it's great. You sit in this little bubble. It's awesome. You just coast on along. You just have to hope he doesn't hit the brakes.
Yeah, that would be bad. Meanwhile, Exit's looking for some shots, bouncing one off Flak. Bouncing another. Knight gonna unload onto him.
Yep. Shots fired.
Another shot.
Zitz should know this one's over by now. He's gonna keep fighting on though. I gotta give it to Rival. They really read Top Tier strategy very, very well, and the counterplay that they pulled was excellent.
The biggest thing I actually liked there that I saw is they intentionally didn't shoot the CDC until the cap got down. They let him get the cap points just so they'd have a longer time to respawn. Instead of killing him right away and then letting the IS-7 accumulate more cap points, they let it build up, and then they went for the resets on the CDC way late when the cap had gotten down past halfway.
They realized the CDC was going to be ultimately ineffective in the battle one way or another because he's not actually going to try and fire at anyone, right?
Exactly.
In fact, he might not have... Well, we'd have to check to see if he deals any damage and loads anything. because sometimes you don't want the CDC to get ammo racked.
Oh, he brought a check. Just look, he brought ammo.
Okay,
he had a
brought
full
ammo.
loadout.
Because we've seen that before. Amex CDCs have before not brought ammo so that they don't get ammo racked. When you get ammo racked, your turret flies off.
Well, it's been a whole bunch of things. We've seen them first try to use the CDC gets ammo racked, so then the next time they go, all right, we're not going to bring any ammo, so we don't get ammo racked.
And then all of a sudden you need to shoot something.
And you don't have any ammo.
Oh, and it doesn't work out. So did they maybe compromise and bring a little bit less ammo?
No, he had a full loadout.
Ah, okay.
And
But
just
this-
look at this push.
I love it.
Didn't even know he's there. No, look at this. This is how you're supposed to push. And this is a perfect example for those that like Clan Wars or Strongholds. That was a push from Rival. That was not the first tank stop, aiming his shot. That was everyone pushing through, all shooting them as they drove by, getting alongside, and taking them down quickly. And look at the damages here. Zitz, 2,700, no kills, 39 fantasy points. Unknown One, second time tonight, had decent numbers, coming up there, 63.
Surprise,
Executus in the bat chat, 115 fantasy points, not bad.
Not bad since he isn't, like, as far as Batchat players go, he doesn't always play it either.
Yep, and then Akako's had a relatively quiet night, only doing 18
did Rude
points.
fire a single shot?
Rude did not fire a single shot. Took 7 shots to kill him, 6 penetrating, 1 non-pen.
He actually, I don't even think he turned his turret sideways if I was watching.
He wasn't even looking at the other tanks. He had it sideways, so his tank had a bigger profile, made it easier for the I-7 to hold down off him. Because once they turn the turret and they're looking straight at him, it actually has a narrower profile than if it's sideways, a lot larger surface area.
Yeah, it's a nice long turret as opposed to a wide one. So because of that, he doesn't get to contribute at all to the brawl. And I don't even think that really matters as much as the fact that Rival found the one hole in the defense and just completely took advantage of that. So I see you've been looking through your Nuggets Rocks. What do you got for me?
Well, I have that top tier haven't won a round on mines all season.
Okay.
They're 0-2.
Oh yeah, because by the way, we're going on to mines now. If you hadn't noticed down below, this is new. I hope you like it.
And then Rival, while they actually have a win on mines, it's not a very nice record to have at 2 out of 6.
Oh, so either way.
That just leaves us as a toss-up, and that could be going back to Himmelsdorf, which just went 1-1.
Yeah.
Defenders winning both rounds.
But the way Rival played that second Himmelsdorf, I like Rival and Himmelsdorf now.
But here's the other thing to look at, and I can't even think about this off the top of my head. Who had the fastest attacking victory tonight, if we get that far?
Oh, I can check. I can definitely check on that
because let's say Rival do get the win right now. They get 2 wins on mines. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I just don't have that much faith in Rival's mines play.
Attack, battle number 2, Muravanka. Top tier.
Okay, so they would pick, and they'd probably pick defense again because both teams just won defense in Himmelsdorf.
That's so far, by the way. That's not on mines. Mines is one of the ones that goes faster sometimes.
This is also true, and we're not done yet, and this is a big if Rival can win both rounds, which I don't know if they have it in them.
There's a lot of pressure to succeed here. And it'll come down to whether or not Rival's able to take the risk and walk away with the wins, or if top tier is able to just respond to one of these 2 battles appropriately and just get that win.
Lineups for Rival, an I-7, 4 Batchets, and 2 T-10s. Top tier, a Kronwagen, 2 Batchets, 2 TVPs, a Grill 15, and a T-54 lightweight. Interesting pick there, going for the lightweight. Doesn't boost as well as the RE-251.
Yeah.
I know Rude played his T-54 the other day, so he definitely has a preference for the Russian mediums.
Excuse me. 2 T-10s though.
2 T-10s, and they're defending, and it looks like they're just going to go for the brawl outside of Executus going for the bush on the 1 line. Or on the 0 line, excuse me.
And the opening moves, standard jumps coming out of top tier, take the hill. And actually 2 T-10s and an IS-7 going towards mid says...
And the Executus has the 0 line boost completely unopposed outside of the T-54 lightweight.
Does this really work though? I don't know if this really counts as a viable strategy because there's so much damage waiting.
Well, and now all these TVPs are trying to kill Executus essentially as bait. And now these heavy tanks are getting aggressive because they know these TVPs just fired a whole bunch of their shots.
Yeah, it's possible, but I'm not sure. I don't think I saw that many shots fired, did I? And here's the up and over. Knight taking most of his hit points in the opening volley, taking almost all of them now.
He's
Commander
still
J
alive though.
Leads the way, and yeah, he is. They do make it up to the top. So credit where it's due. Rival has the high ground. Top tier has been relegated to the low ground and to the backside of the hill, where yes, they can respond, but it's going to be very tricky for them to actually make this work. as, well, the advantage is to Rival. Hit points, though, to top tier.
They can actually, if they act fast enough, they can actually pincer out Merle Shikta and Delth still. If they leave the 2 tanks on the hill, use these heavy tanks to push up and along the 4 line, they can definitely get the isolation there.
And there's Kronvagen, Ex-Soldier. Unfortunately, got himself stuck a little bit.
And Rival need to make this play because there's tanks dropping down below, so they need to just push up and over. They know that they have an isolation. Commander J looking for the shots towards exits, but he actually drops down into the low ground. So now they just have to worry about Delth and Merle Shikta.
But Ex-Soldier's just now getting back into position. The TVP way down south, Le Cucaracha has gotten around, and he is now looking at, looks like Executus. And there's the damage. Unknown One's done. Zakum, incredibly low. The damage is not there on top tier. Not seeing the damage being dealt. There, finally, Delth is down. Okay, you've just paid 2 T10s. Those are your slightly lower tiers, but very important tanks all the same. Paid with those. The Cucaracha is able to actually escape. That's a big deal. And because of that, he might be able to actually still contribute to the fight later on.
Rival down about 3,000 HP. They have an extra gun alive. Rival bringing 2 tier 9s and sacrificing both of them.
This should be a top tier win if they can play it correctly.
And Flat getting the track shot on Rude Awakening.
But the responses from Rival are appropriate. Knight's got a beat on Rude. Oh, but the return fire from Rude. I'm loving it. Gets the kill. Flak is taken down by about half his health, and that's when Muriel and Ex-Soldier, Zitz as well, are going to move on up. And they'll either take down Pub or they'll take down Flak in a moment.
Executus does find Fixer reloaded.
Took him a moment.
And he might be able to push in unless he gets picked off by the grill of Pompous. And that just sealed the deal. That's it. That's everything over. Now top tier are just going to push in. They're going to find Pub Whisper, and then it's all going to be down to Flak in that IS-7.
And one more shot from Zitz. He's going to sink it, and that's going to be it. Now, well, IS-7's well armored, but not this well armored. Top tier's played an excellent game. They were put at a disadvantage. Rival puts them on the back foot, but they know how to respond. They know how to deal with it, and well, we end up with a series going, what is that, 5-2?
5-2, actually the longest series we had tonight.
Yeah, got to give it to them. I don't think anyone predicted this quite as much to be as close as it was. A lot of people were saying that top tier should 5-0. I think that's very negative towards Rival, especially a team that's...
They showed, once again, and they did this all last season, and they've done it earlier season. They show moments, just single moments of just near brilliance where they look great.
And you're like, yes, I love this strategy.
Do this all the time, Rival. Just keep doing it.
Well, then they try to do it all the time, and that's kind of the problem, isn't it? Is the fact that when you do that all the time, it kind of backfires.
Well, the thing is there was certain times where they tried to slow it down a little bit, and it just didn't work out. The times where they did get aggressive, Himmelsdorf especially, when they got aggressive there on the defense, they kind of did an offhand rotation, did it early. They did something different. It worked out for them. Murovanka, same thing. They changed it up. They got aggressive. They went for the pushes, and that ended up backfiring on them, but that was more of the late-game coordination from Rival not being cutthroat enough, essentially. And that's something that you can change just from doing a little bit more practice, focus fire a little bit better, just be a little bit cleaner in the individual area of it.
I think that's a big feedback right now for Rival out of this one is second step. What do you do after you go into the second phase of the match, or the battle, I should say, specifically? When you go into that second part of the battle where you've already done your setup and now you have to adjust. Rival had a lot of trouble with that.
Yep, and Merle Shikta, sorry to cut you off here, Merle Shikta doing 389 fantasy points on the second page. Akako coming in there, 343. It looks like those two were first and second for their team. Pompous just below Akako. So pretty solid stuff there from top tier. Rival, once again, they have those moments, they show the promise, but they haven't been able to turn it into a complete win so far.
Yeah, and top tier. From what we heard on their comms, what we heard from their team, they're in good spirits. They have a very...
That's one way of putting it.
Being able to make a joke and laugh about something says that you're comfortable, right?
Definitely.
And being able to also, when I noted this, get serious all of a sudden, like what we heard the team call them to do, is...
Well, and that's, you got to remember, this is Rude Awakening's team. He rules it with an iron fist, so, you know, he realizes people need to have fun, but when it's go time, he expects everyone to be serious, and I'm pretty sure they know that if they keep goofing off, once it needs to be go time, their head's going to be on a chopping block.
Exactly. And actually, to speak to that, we actually have a winner's interview ready. Welcome back to the broadcast, Rude. That was a good match from you guys, sir. I want to start off talking about the listen-in we had with your team. This is cute. We heard you guys start off. A few of you guys made a little joke here and there, but all of a sudden you just said, guys, listen up, and you made a call. You just broke down the entire battle. You actually predicted and everything about what Rival was doing perfectly, and it was phenomenal. What goes into that?
Well, I'll be honest. I think today we were just. I'm really disappointed with the way we played today. I think we can play a lot better. We had good reads on them many times. Based on some few spotting checks, I think we kind of figured out where they were. But overall, we definitely need a lot more work on map knowledge. Certain spotting checks, especially on Himmelsdorf.
Oh my goodness!
Especially, it was just. I honestly we still have some work to do, but we're very fortunate to walk away with a victory today.
Because I don't think you got to see what we saw when Rival pulled that Himmelsdorf attack. What they did was they hid just north of the banana, around one of the first beds.
7 line.
Yeah, the 7 line right there, and they just busted down there the moment you guys got on cap.
Look, we knew that was one of their 2 plays. They had 2 plays. They had either the play of going down the banana, or they had the play to kind of flex over to the west. And of course they had kind of a 2.5% chance play of maybe pushing the hill. But we had exits. I asked exits to cover the hill. It was a bad call because honestly, the mistake there was that I thought we had lights on the banana, and we didn't. So there was just some map knowledge problems.
Yeah.
But overall, we played well, but we have to play a lot better than this.
Okay. That's good feedback. Overall, though, I thought that was strong responses from your team when you guys were put into a tough situation. Think battles 1 and 2 on Muravanka, where you guys were put on the back foot, a huge disadvantage at a crucial time in the battle. Yeah. How do you keep your team focused in that? Because you did it. I saw you do it. You managed to keep them on point, and you pulled back in a fight. What goes into that?
If we could just play as well as we practice, we will do quite well in these matches. It's coming together. It's coming closer and closer together. We seem to be on either an upslope or a downslope, but every week, we get higher and higher and higher. So we're playing much better. On Muravanka, we made a ton of mistakes. It's just not even funny. We had an idea of what they were going to do. They did a really good counter defense on us. I'm guessing they watched our replays. They kind of knew our tendencies. And also, they had a decent trap set up also on their attack. We almost were going to walk into it, but I decided to kind of go in there and spot it for the team. We had a few unfortunate bounces, a few unfortunate pre-aims, I guess. But overall, it's just getting better at the map knowledge, knowing the angles better, and we're definitely getting there. We're definitely getting there.
All right. Well, thank you for showing up. Rox and I thought that was an impressive match. It just showcased a lot of your strengths. So thank you so much for coming back on the show, and thank you for playing tonight for us. Wish you the best of luck in round robin number 2. And
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
The games really begin now.
Oh, yeah.
The games really begin now.
Oh, yeah. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the battlefield, sir.
Yep. See ya. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, Rude, always humble. There wasn't I tried to ask him, I was like, Rude, what was going into that? He's like, that was a mistake. That was just not playing as well as we
realized that their blind side on Himmelsdorf, the Rival could have driven a bus through, just straight up and down it.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I guess so.
That was a pretty big blind spot, because you got to remember how much ground Rival covered. Not to keep beating that drum, but they went all the way down the 8 line and all the way across the G line, right up and underneath that 113 before they were even spotted. That's a lot of ground to cover from 5 heavy tanks.
However, to Rival's credit, that's kind of the thing they do well. The thing that they do well is they hit you where you don't expect it, right?
Yep.
So when they finally do that, you have to respond. And most of the time, Top Tier responded correctly, and they won for it. That's the important part. It doesn't matter that you got caught off guard as much as it does that you actually responded appropriately, handled the situation, and were able to win.
Yep. Well, tonight has been a crazy night, a lot of one-sided victories. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings from where they stand right now.
All right, so Apex, of course, has bumped themselves up to 21 with their 5-0. Dare Rising is right behind them with 13, and Eclipse is tied with 13. I'll have to check on the tiebreaker. I think it goes to Eclipse. Where's it go to? We'll have to check back on that.
It'll be round difference. We'll have to check on that one.
Precisely. 07 in 4th with 12 right behind them. Aquatic and Top Tier are tied with 10. And then Valence and Rival falling down 5 and 0 at the end there. So that solidifies your round robin number 1 standings. You're going to have this exact thing a little bit more spread out. We're deciding that second round robin, instead of having 2 matches off the broadcast every time, we're going to actually move to a schedule where we have 2 matches per night broken up throughout the week so that we can actually showcase all of the matches.
So pretty much everything in the second round robin. I think there's one more match day where we have double matches. Everything other than that, I believe, will come down to just 2 matches on our broadcast at night, no off-air matches. Now, the other thing, we looked that up. Remember, guys, fantasy, wgl.gg/fantasy, WGLNA. Get on there, set your rosters. Tonight is pretty much over. Admins will have the fantasy points up within the next couple of hours, so make sure you go and check there, and make sure you set up your lineup for Thursday.
Exactly, and also just to make it clear, February 2nd and 7th, those are the 2 days that we'll still have 2 matches off broadcast. Don't forget to follow us and tweet at us at WGLNA, #WGLNA, and it's Facebook/WGLNA. Don't forget to check us out before the show next time on Facebook. Let's remind you right now, we have a Facebook pre-show. If you want to get involved, if you want questions answered, if you just want to goof around a little bit, we're on Facebook Live before this show on the WGLNA. That's every Tuesday and Thursday. So don't miss out.
Yeah, we show people around the studio a little bit. We talk about fantasy. We answer fantasy questions, answer questions about WGLNA in general, all sorts of stuff. So make sure to step in. It's a good time.
Exactly. So I think that does it for tonight, Rox. Those were some good matches, especially Rival versus Top Tier. Real one to look back on, as it is certainly going to be a unique match for the ages. Thank you all for showing up tonight. I'm Randall Rookhill Holcomb. This is James Rockstar Grieve, and this is the WGLNA. We'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everybody.